All right. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:31 on Wednesday, March 25th, and I would like to call to order the meeting of the Mashpee School Committee. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who live and have been sustained in this territory for more than 10,000 years. All right. Next, we have a consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes and to ratify the agenda of the minutes for January 21st, 2026. As you recall, we did not, I don't think we had our February meeting, which is why today is going to be a little longer than normal. I know Dr. Connors also had asked, was under the Student Opportunity Act?
Yeah, please, if the will of the committee, I'd like to move the Student Opportunity Act presentation to the Teaching and Learning Update, if that's okay. Just to move it up there.
So that would be moved up to 9B.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? I'd take a motion to approve the consent agenda with that change.
So moved.
And I'll second. Dan, were you a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. Kelly?
I gotta abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. Dan?
I vote yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. So that's 3-0-1. Okay. Do any of the committee members have any, or any of the staff have any public announcements or anything we need to announce tonight, or any agenda item requests for future agendas? Okay. Recognitions, the fun part of tonight.
Yeah.
We've got some
The
people we
best
want to
parts.
congratulate for being amazing. Some of us already knew you were amazing, but now there's an official plaque, I understand, that says you are amazing. So let's continue with the celebration here. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Connors.
All right, so first up, and these are in no particular order, so I should not have, oh, good, I didn't number, I just put bullets, so nobody, is attached to any numbers. So our first is Jennifer Garb Palumbo. She is one of our nurses at Mashpee Middle High School. This, we're honoring her tonight in grateful recognition of her quick thinking, professionalism, and life-saving response when a parent, so not a student, not a staff member, but a parent experienced a serious medical emergency while at a meeting at Mashpee Middle High School. Her calm, decisive actions and compassionate care ensured the safety of the parents and provided reassurance to all of those present. Her dedication to the health and well-being of our entire school community exemplifies the very best of Mashpee and the nursing profession. So Jen, if you could come up for a picture and a certificate, please.
Sure. Exactly.
Thank you for everything you do. I'm Stacy. Yes, oh, good, Bonnie. Yes. Thank you. I picked them myself, I grew them in my. Yeah, you're in the middle.
Michelle just keeps moving more.
I know, I'm sorry.
What's she doing?
I don't know. People ask that a lot.
All right, ready?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Last week, the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce, their annual meeting, also recognized their unsung heroes across the community. And in Mashpee Public Schools, we're very fortunate to not have one, but five. 2 of our educators and 3 of our students. Unfortunately, our student unsung heroes could not be here tonight, but those students are Alice Clark, Gianna Diotto, and Jaden Williams. But we do have tonight with us David Williams, and Mary Stickley, both educators at Washington Intermediate School, who were honored as unsung heroes. These recognitions celebrate individuals who quietly, if you know Mary, quietly, and David, who is, I think, quiet until I say, "How is your day?" Best day ever, which is amazing, and it always lifts me up when I see him and I hear that from him. These individuals quietly make meaningful contributions, not just to their school, but to the entire community through leadership, service, and their commitment to others. We are honored to work alongside you, and our students are especially honored to be in your presence. So thank you so much for everything you do. Come up for a picture.
We should have just stayed standing up. We can be the bobber and just go down.
Yes.
Mine's so quiet.
Our official photographer. Yes, very deserving. Right in the middle, you two, right in the middle. Mary and Dave will have you in the middle.
That's good.
Bouncing out.
Oh, look, I really feel short now.
Oh, there we go, how's this? How's this? Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank you
very
both
much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much again. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, we got more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Yeah, I was telling Sherry the story this morning because
They were both there, right? All right, do we just stand?
All right, next. To the two amazing women who keep us fed, keep our children healthy, ensure they get breakfast and lunch in a very delicious and efficient manner, and who are always advocating for better meals and just food service in general for our students. I'd like to recognize Catherine Kingsbury, Director of Food Services, and Kristen Hurlbut, Assistant Director of Food Services, for their outstanding work in successfully completing and submitting the district's most recent food service audit. Members of the school committee, you may recall I shared some feedback from the auditors when they came in just about our students and their presence at Mashpee Middle High School and just how incredibly respectful and helpful and cooperative our students were, which we all know. We have amazing kids, but that was part of this audit. Catherine and Kristen's professionalism, attention to detail, and dedication ensure that the district's food service program continues to operate with excellence and integrity in support of our students and families. And for that, we are very thankful.
Yep. What's the last one?
No.
Thank you both very much.
Getting our,
We're getting our steps in.
getting exercise. All right, yeah.
It's like a tea party.
Look at you, Barney.
They're gonna do prom poses pretty soon.
You should.
We are, yeah. Okay.
All right, ready? Smile. Very nice.
Thank you,
Thank you
ladies,
both
very
so very
much.
much. All that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just talking about hot dogs. She wants try something different.
He says no. Spicy chicken sandwiches every single day. I'm like, okay, whatever, Jen.
What you like?
Unless it's pizza.
And finally, tonight, we'd like to recognize the entire Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. They came together as a community to support the entire community of Mashpee during the historic blizzard that we experienced in February. They opened the Tribal Government Center to our community during this storm. The tribe provided a welcoming space where community members could gather, share a hot meal, charge their phones and other electronic devices during an incredibly challenging time when people were experiencing no heat, food going to waste in their homes, no electricity, and just some damage at times to many of their homes and their property. The generosity and commitment to community support truly reflect the spirit and partnership that strengthens Mashpee. So we thank the tribe very much for your support of the entire community and welcoming us to your space. So we'd like to honor the tribe. I see that Roxanne is here, if she could even come up and
Yeah.
Vice Chair Whedon, we have a plaque for you. It says, with deepest gratitude for your unwavering support during the blizzard of 2026. By opening the Tribal Government Center to provide warmth, nourishment, and community, you provided a sanctuary for all in a time of need. Your generosity embodies the spirit of partnership that defines and strengthens Mashpee. Thank you very much.
Is it a picture now?
We're all gonna get up.
Now you have to be in the middle.
Yeah, you're in the middle.
You don't
I'll
have to
stand in the middle.
Tuck in first.
Come on, ladies. You can come join the picture
Yes.
too.
No, you're in the middle. You're on you.
I'll sit with Miss Roxanne, let her little. Oh.
All right. Ready? All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Please extend our thanks.
Yes. Tell them all, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me
Hopefully-
push you with you tonight. I don't like surprises.
Hopefully those pictures are better than the one the Kiwanis have of me with a hairnet. Yeah, I'm sure that's all over the public. I'm like, I have no shame. I said, school committee feedback is that I need to be in more photos, so here we go.
Yeah, we put it on the agenda.
All right, next slide, Ms. Sherry. That's okay.
Okay. Do we have anyone for public comment tonight? Okay. Ms. Roxanne, if you would like, the floor is yours for an update from the Tribal Education Department.
Okay, thank you. Nata Suis Roxanne Mills Brown, Newcomasma CBI. First, I'd like to extend a thank you to Dr. Connors for introducing or kind of introducing Senator Dylan Fernandez's office to the Education Department. I had a nice discussion with his Chief of Staff, Zach Crowley, and I was able to kind of share the Native Education Council's initiative with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. That's a good segue into talking about the meeting that's scheduled for March 31st from 2 to 4 via Zoom with the new commissioner, Pedro Martinez. We have Dr. Connors, Dr. Lori Durr, Henry St. Julian from Falmouth, Dr. Desiree Bahari, she's the Director of Early Childhood Education for the Collaborative Education Services, and others from the districts around the Cape who will be on that call with us. The Native Education Council is, interestingly enough, a derivative of our State Tribal Education Partnership Grant that we were awarded in 2020. And so when we talk about sustainability of those federal funds, in many manners that we often overlook, this is one of the ways we're sustaining the work that we did with that grant. And so we're meeting with the commissioner to actually point out the need for at least a Native Education Advisory Council to begin with. That's the first step. We're all excited. It's a 2-hour call. We have a great kind of PowerPoint that Jose Lugo, who's now our new Native American Teacher Retention Initiative Program Manager, he will be kind of leading that discussion with the commissioner. So we're looking forward to that. And anybody else that would like to be a part of that, whether to listen in or if you have time for comments, you know, you'd be welcome to do that. Just let me know and I'll provide the email for you. I think we have a truancy prevention cooperative agreement that was signed October 24th of 2024. it requires the tribe, it's a prevention tool. Ultimately, if a Native child's case gets to the point of truancy where they're referred to the DA, that's when the discussion about possibly going to tribal court versus district court or juvenile court takes place. But it requires the tribe be alerted when attendance becomes an issue so that we can attempt to provide preventive interventions with the family. And I think probably during our partnership meeting, we'll talk a little bit more about that so that that information gets down into the building level. We're working right now, we've been alerted that we have 2 students with referrals. We have a meeting on March 31st at Mashpee Middle High School for the one, to see what we can do to prevent that student from having to receive the consequences for truancy. We're actually providing, we got a grant from the Cape Cod Foundation, and one of the objectives in there is for us to have tutoring funds for students at Mashpee. Because our Indian Ed grant, of course, we can't duplicate funds. So we currently have 4 Mashpee students receiving tutoring services through that grant. And we have a real possibility of investment funds from a venture philanthropist. We're just awaiting the fulfillment of our 501c3. But we're working through that process with him and I guess Fidelity, where his funds are being held. And then we can use those funds also for Mashpee students. Some good news, we had 2 students apply to College Horizons, and we haven't had any applications for a number of years. One of the students, I believe it was Ariana Andrade, was accepted. This year, closer to home, it's being held at Dartmouth College, June 26th through July 1st. It's a 5-day pre-college program, and it assists Native sophomores and juniors on the college application and admissions process. It offers a summer admissions workshop focused on demystifying the college application process and exploring college options for Native students. We're pretty much excited with this. Renee Lopes-Pocknet was instrumental in working with those kids on their applications. College Horizons motto is College Pride, Native Pride. John Hanlon, who's now our Assistant Education Director, attended the Mashpee Middle High School College Fair last week and had a table with information from the NATRI grant, hoping to garner interest for Native student teachers, future teachers. And then Tribal Education sponsored the Lincoln Tech, which is located in Lincoln, Rhode Island, in the Indian Education Room. 5 Native students attended the presentation. They focus on dental assistant, electrical, electronics, HVAC, medical assistant, practical nursing, and welding technology. And then finally, Daughters of Tradition, which are Child Care Development Fund out of the Administration for Children under HHS, helps fund this project as well as Tribal Boys. So the Daughters of Tradition, actually, if you look out at the 13 Moons exhibit, they were out there cleaning up today. And the Tribal Boys actually repaired the weed queue out there.
Oh, nice.
So all of the bark is in place, and they'll be, I think, fixing the exhibits and so forth. The girls will be planting a garden out there and redoing the fish nets. All of this too is instructional for our kids. And we look at it as prevention because they're focused on culture and healthy discussions and healthy outlooks. Also, a tribal elder will be instructing the girls on making deerskin pouches that will be covered with rabbit fur. Hopefully they gift me one. Kitty, who is the main facilitator for Daughters of Tradition, has been meeting with Janelle, the Indian Education Coordinator, and they're planning an exhibit for the Quashnet students. During the visits, they'll learn about Wampanoag planting practices, WEQ construction, and participate in hands-on activities making the fishnet. The tribal boys and girls will serve as the interpreters for the event. Janelle will be coordinating with the administration to schedule the specific class visits. And our Wampanoag New Year generally occurs in or around the time that the herring begin to really run. And so it's not a definitive date. But I do want to say, because I think it's an important piece, and I was talking with Dr. Connors just a few minutes ago, the Native American Teacher Retention Initiative is a huge piece for us, and it really has, I think, for at least one of our teachers that I know, Janelle, who went to school through Mashpee, and her teaching as an adult was impacted by her school experiences. And we've seen growth and development in her as an individual, a professional, and a Native woman that is growing and blossoming and really assuming responsibilities as a Native woman, a teacher of young children, and a community member. And it just does my heart good. And I want to thank the district, because the district is a part of that. And so we thank you, and thank you for this time.
Thank you. I just
Thank you.
have one quick question, backing up to the first item about the Native Education Advisory Council. Is there anything we as a committee can do? Like, would it be helpful to write letters of support? Or I guess I'm thinking, you know, whether it's the committee or even reaching out to MASC, the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, to see if there's a way to kind of get them to also help support, because it's not just, I would imagine it would benefit not just Native students on Cape Cod, but Native students throughout the state. So is there anything that we could maybe do to help support that? Or is it too early to say in the process? I guess I want you to know we're a resource, and however we can be instrumental in helping with that cause, because I do agree it's an important thing to have those voices in those rooms where the decisions are made. And I guess as a school committee member for this community, I want to make sure that if there's something we can do, that we're doing it.
Yes, I probably will have better information for you after the meeting on
Okay.
the 31st. But I do want to say, the work that we do with Mashpee, Falmouth, all of our other 7 districts, is the work that should be done across the Commonwealth. And the tribes indigenous to what is now the Commonwealth are the tribes that really formed the NEC with our partners. And so it benefits Native students, but it benefits all students. Because as we say, Native history is American history.
Yes, it is.
And I thank you for that offer, and
Yes,
I will
please,
respond.
because I know we've got Day on the Hill, albeit on the 30th is Day on the Hill, where school committee members go and speak to our representatives, which isn't necessarily DESI, but if I can start getting bugs in people's ears, because I'll be with all the MASC people of, hey, maybe we need to look at the state level, maybe putting pressure on DESI, or not pressure, but talking to them about how school committees would also like to help elevate that. I just, again, putting that out there for you, and
Thank you.
here when you're ready for that, because I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
And if I may just mention, refer back to the truancy agreement. So back in the fall, I believe you had brought it up then as well, and I was not yet aware of it. Since then, though, we have met with all 3 principals. They have taken that back to their buildings to work with their leadership teams to ensure that it is in place and that they have structures set up to follow through.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have our report from our Student Advisory Committee Chair, Ms. Kira Duval.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so from from our last meeting, I believe it was our joint meeting with the entire council, we sort of went over what the survey would look like. So I'm definitely going to save some of the specifics on what we got out of that survey for our joint meeting. So I'm just going to give like a rough overview. So we sent the survey on January 23rd. We got 381 responses.
Wow.
Wow.
Which nearly tripled our last survey.
Good job.
Thank you
Great.
to the help from Miss Brady with facilitating that. We had a block during the day that students could fill out the survey, so that was definitely very successful.
Awesome.
So just some of the things that emerged from the survey initially, there was some talk about homeroom structure, reporting that it was too short to be useful and to manage time in that way. Some reports about academic stress with overlapping deadlines. Another big point was also the bathroom with cleanliness and also some vaping concerns. And then also some positive things. Students were looking into having more school-wide events and career-focused electives, which I thought was interesting. And then in terms of us reaching out to the student body, they wanted us to send more surveys, so we'll definitely continue doing that. And so in terms of our April 1st joint meeting, each member was assigned 3 questions to do an in-depth review on. So we'll give you a more detailed report from each member, sort of going through each question and the findings with that. And aside from the survey, we also launched our Instagram page. I believe we got 115 views in the last 30 days. So we'll definitely work on expanding that and using it as a platform for student voice. And we also worked on confirming a meeting with Quashnet Student Council. So 4 out of our 5 members will be in attendance for that. And we're going to go through their survey data with the 6th grade Student Council, which is going to be really exciting. And so working on that. And then we also recently were in a Mashpee Minute video that was Esme, Tess, and myself, which was before the survey. So working on getting more of that public awareness. And then one final thing, I'll keep it short, is also Little Shop of Horrors is coming up, musical.
Yep.
So that is on Friday, March 27th at 7 p.m., Saturday, March 28th at 2 and 7 p.m. in the MMHS auditorium. And then tickets are $15 for adults and $10 for students.
And there's like a $20 snack package
Like
too,
VIP
right?
package.
Yeah.
You can come in early and you can get a snack and a drink for an extra $5.
All right.
And I must say, I am thoroughly impressed. I know we're a little off topic here, but since you mentioned it, the way that it has been almost a school-wide. I don't know if you all watched this past week's Mashpee Minute.
Oh, that was great.
But they've involved the art classes. They've involved it wasn't just like the theater club. It was it kind of branched out to the school. And thank you, Principal Brady, for encouraging that. I think it was really amazing. And you should see, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because the 8th graders made the mini Audrey 2s out of paper mache in art class, and they are like phenomenal. So I'm very excited, but I might also be a little biased, but it's going to be a good show, guys. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets. Huh? That's okay. What? And we have a pit, so live music. It won't be the music over. It's like actual musicians. So
It's gonna be so fun.
it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So get your tickets. You'll probably see me there all 3 shows, which is fine because I like going. So, but yeah, go. Okay. Thank you, Kira. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kara.
Okay. Next we have, I believe I saw Miss Fraser here to give us an update on the class of 2027 Universal Studios trip. So, please. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I almost forgot that. But that was also in the Mashpee Minute if you watched it.
It was Christmas students who made the video.
Yes. And the poster. The poster was one of your students too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the same slideshow that we have gone through twice, but the last slide has all the updates.
Okay.
Okay.
So nothing's really changed. Yes, please. And we just wanted an update. So
Yeah.
we're a little over a year out from the trip. So really, I think all of the things are about to start happening in the next month or so. We can't book our airfare until about a year in advance. They don't know exactly the date that the airfare is going to be released, but we are going to be right on top of it when it is. Booking the grad bash happens about a year out, like this year's are just about to happen, so we're waiting for that. And currently, my big update is that we're trying to schedule buses through the collaborative to get the students from Mashpee to Logan and back, rather than paying for a big fancy coach bus for transportation. Let's see. The rooms we determined are going to all be quads to keep prices down. Rooming lists are going to be due 60 days prior to the trip. And some challenges we've had, so our students have done a really great job of fulfilling all the promises that they made as far as like offering financial assistance and doing fundraising for the trip. Participation has definitely been low, and I just sent out a survey recently to try to kind of assess student and family interest in participating in fundraisers before I start scheduling fundraisers over the summer, because last year it was me and my family and a lot of my husband, my mother, and so I just want to make sure people are going to show up and participate. And so a big challenge we have with the trip coordinator is that they don't have auto pay on their website. So we had planned this so far in advance so that people could just make like low regular payments monthly. And because of the lack of auto pay, every family has to go in every month and manually like make a payment. And I think they forget and they miss their payments sometimes. And if they miss 2 months in a row, they get dropped from the traveler list. And then when they are ready to start paying again, they have to like go through, they have to email and get their account reinstated. They don't lose any money, it's just they have to go through that.
Is there a charge to reinstate it?
No.
Okay.
But they get dropped from my traveler list, so my traveler list fluctuates and I never really know how many people are actually on the trip or not, so that's one of the challenges. And then we didn't have any students apply for financial aid, so.
What's the total number we're at now?
Of travelers?
Yes.
It's around 30.
How many, sorry, are in the class again?
There's.
I was gonna say it's a little around 100, right?
Say,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's not
Yeah, and we initially
even a
had
third of them.
40 sign up, and then the other 10, I kind of have to like track it down. I don't know, they don't tell me who they are when they drop off the list and why they, like if they've intentionally dropped off or if they just forgot to make payments. So that part's a little bit tricky.
So, sorry, you're probably gonna ask the same question. So, back when we got the original presentation, the estimated cost for 65 passengers, did that include the chaperones? Was for quads 1,504. How much has that price now gone up since it's half that number of travelers?
It's 1,800 now.
Okay.
Yep, and trying to bring the bus costs down.
So how?
And that's still without airfare, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm baffled because in the beginning, you know, when they had first come to us about this, we were all a little bit skeptical. There's less than a third of the class of 2027 that has signed up for this trip. How equitable is that for the remaining 70 kids in that class, honestly? And the prices are just gonna keep going up and keep going up, and that's kind of one of the things we were nervous about, and I don't like to see the kids upset, honestly. But the feasibility of doing this, I mean, you're not getting them.
They're locked in now. I mean, we really
They're
can't.
they're not locked
No,
in.
they are locked in. I'm pretty sure we're beyond that date, so I don't think that it's really a discussion of, unfortunately, we're beyond that at this
Why
point.
did we wait so long to get an update? We should have gotten an update before that had come.
it was in flux, I think, and we were getting updates. I think a lot of things have changed. I'm not trying to justify it because I think it was clear how I felt about the trip, which is fine. I mean, I guess I'm a little concerned with the state of everything. You know, to Kelly's point, airfare, with what's going on right now in the world and airfares and the airport issues. I do have some concerns there just because I haven't looked at what Orlando flights are. I know they're not as bad as like what I just paid for San Antonio, but I guess I'm a little worried, especially if they're gonna lock them in now with all the turmoil that's going on. But you know what I mean? I guess that's another question I have. Are they gonna hold on that?
About that, I don't
Like, will they wait a little bit, or are they gonna pull that airline? Like, are they gonna buy them as soon as they're open? I guess that's my,
I will find out, but yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that concern. I'm concerned about that too. A lot has happened in the past
yeah.
few weeks or.
One other quick question, and I mean, I know Dan and Brian, I'm sorry, and Kelly, I'm sorry, but I do want to know, like, the kids that initially expressed interest, was outreach done to say, like, what changed, why, like, do we know why it started at the original, what was it, 54 that had said yes, and then it slowly kind of has dwindled,
And
like,
the number that we have, I would still call it like a fluctuating number,
Mhm.
because I truly don't know yet who.
well, because kids can still technically,
And they
they're gonna
can.
pay more, right? But, like, they'll pay bigger payments, I should say, not pay more, but it will be a bigger payment
there's-
schedule.
Yes, and there's been a lot of communication with families about that,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard any complaints about it. Nobody's come to me,
Yeah.
expressed disappointment. And everyone seems really excited about it. And so, there's just the 54 that said yes. We didn't do an official survey to find out why, but I think it's probably a wide variety of,
Probably.
yeah.
Like I said, I still, and I'm sorry, when you guys had originally brought this to us, you had said that the trip must have between 40 to 42 attendees for it actually to be viable.
And it did.
And now we're at 30. Again, with a class of, let's round it up to 100 people, that's less than a third of the class of 2027. And I had thought at one point when we had asked about like I know that there's the original deposit that's not refundable, but wasn't it like 90 days or 6 months before if we had to cancel, all of that monies was refundable? So it's not too late.
Okay. I mean, and your point is also, I keep going back to reasons why we held on the DC trip, I guess, is my other thing, It's,
This is what
I'm a little, yeah, we're,
why I'm fighting that battle with them. but-
yeah. Because, I mean, the DC trip had more than 30 kids and we still kind of held on it. So I feel like we're kind of in an awkward spot here because at what point, I guess, if the trip needed the 40 students and we're 10 short, I mean, do we continue going? I know these kids have worked hard and these 30 students have probably been showing up for everything.
But no, because she just said,
Well,
her and her
you're
family,
right, yeah.
students and families are not participating in
right.
fundraising. That was one of the parameters that we gave them. That's one of the things that I said to all the kids that were standing in front of me, prove me wrong.
Well, I think that a lot of families probably just prefer to pay than spend.
I was gonna
time
say,
doing
yeah.
fundraising.
Yeah, but the fundraising wasn't specifically just for those kids. It was for the group as a whole, so that everybody could be included if they chose to, even if they couldn't afford it. So just because my family can afford to go to Disney and I don't want to do fundraising for myself, doesn't mean that Michelle's family can't afford it and I should be doing fundraising for Michelle. So the whole thing that was brought to us in the beginning has now pretty much derailed all over the place.
Officers have been doing fundraising.
But that's 4 or 5 of them. That's not 30 kids.
Right.
And there's plenty of opportunities for fundraising. There's the road races, there's the marathons, there's
And we
all
run them all.
kinds of stuff. But to say that 30 kids out of a whole entire class, or those are gonna be the 30 kids, where does the inclusion go for the rest of the 70?
Brian?
But aren't they raising funds? Don't you still have like senior week and all that other stuff that they're gonna do, which is gonna be free of charge to everybody? I mean.
But that was, when this first came to us, we were told that there'd be separate
Separate
fundraising. So the fundraising for this was solely for this.
I understand that, but to
Yeah.
the point is
Yes,
that they're
there's
still
gonna be-
fundraising
yes.
to take care of the rest of their students. So this is the trip that some of them can go on, but they are actively fundraising to make sure that senior week will cover everybody and that they won't have to come out of pocket. So that's the equity, I feel like, to those other students.
Chrissy, what can Principal Brady and I do to help?
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
I think at this point in time, this is just my thoughts. This is a learning opportunity in many ways, because I think the discussions that we had were also centered around realistically how many families and students were going to want to go. Again, I think understandably, the desire from the original presentation was that it would be an incredibly exciting and inclusive trip for all. That we, lots of terminology around, like everyone will have this opportunity, it will be really great bonding. And yet the most engaged or able students are seeming to kind of float and be able to participate. And I think the difference between the DC component is, at the end of the day, the district itself is not required to consider it into the budget, right? So I think we were more concerned around, is this something that is going to be, again, using the equity lens, equitable for all students and families who want to participate to be able to go. So,
Can you, sorry, I lost you at the in the budget part for DC, because DC could have been set up in a similar fashion where it was all baked into the costs as well, so.
correct, but there was going to be a district budget requirement to cover the expenses of that, correct?
In the past there was, but there
Correct.
didn't have to be going forward.
Correct, but I guess there was these were not in tandem, right? These conversations weren't happening at the same time frame, per se?
No, because this had already been okayed.
Yeah, so I think, my viewpoint, long story short, is at this point, I think the group has bought in. I think, it will be very interesting to see what the final numbers are on who goes and who doesn't go.
I'm more interested in the airfare, because if it's already $1,800 a person, you're gonna add,
But
yeah,
I
you're,
think the families and the students who are committed to going, clearly, those
Yep.
prospective 30 are gonna be the only ones that are gonna go, and I foresee that number dwindling if the cost, maybe goes up. But I think it is just a learning opportunity, one for the students, two for obviously advisors, and also from a committee perspective of, feeling comfortable enough to approve these moving forward if they do represent. So.
I mean, we've already lost 22 from the original proposal that they had given to us.
Yeah, but it happens, right? I think you get that often where, folks are excited at the concept of it, and then when something comes about, life happens. But it is unfortunate that, again, it's not a more exciting number of full student body participation, which is what I think was the imagined philosophy behind it.
Chrissy, is there an opportunity, a way through the tour provider, through the company, Education Destinations, to get a list of who the students are that we know? I know some people drop off, like you said, it fluctuates.
Yes, I do have a traveler list. It just changes.
It changes.
Yeah.
Is there, can we reach out to all of those who are not on the travelers list, maybe their families, and kind of find out are you just not interested? Is it a price issue? Do you need financial aid? I know some people don't want to ask, but maybe if we outreach, and I'm happy to help, I know Principal Brady, just to get some more information as to the why, I guess, if we can help.
Again, it goes back to the inclusiveness of it, just because your parents, aren't rocket scientists and make $1 million. If you want to go, you should be able to go. Well, I don't have a right to fundraising. Okay, so that's why I think in the beginning, and we brought this up to the kids, of different things that would need to be done in order to make sure that it was inclusive. And to me, it's just, there's.
All those things.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling it's gonna be more, family situations have changed. I mean, a lot has changed since this first was brought to us. I think families probably had to have a long, hard look at their situations. And I mean, unfortunately, the kids who are going now are gonna suffer with the higher costs, which is unfortunate, but I don't know. I hear what you're saying, Kelly. I agree with you on a lot of it. Again, it's kind of why I wasn't really in favor of the trip to begin with. Not that I didn't want the kids to go have fun, but I just,
It's just
I worry
expensive.
of the cost, and still now we've got all these
Safety.
new unknowns, which now are safety concerns
Mm-hmm.
because you're seeing the issues at the airports, which, again, all of it could change. But yeah,
So the chaperones that are going, so you have three or four chaperones? Are those parents?
We haven't identified who the chaperones are yet, but a lot of the students who are going also have parents who are staff. And so I think some of them might want to volunteer to chaperone.
Okay, then that cuts into our budget of having to cover for a substitute for them to go on a trip.
It's,
I don't know if it does, but.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
it's over.
Vacation.
Yeah,
It's
over
vacation.
April
No, it's not.
and-
That, there's one
It
day.
is, there's one day that overlaps.
Yep.
I think that's the least of the worries, honestly, Kelly. I think it's the other pieces that.
No, it's
have
not the least of the worries, because we're pinching pennies to make sure that everything gets paid for. We're listening to the town talking about how it's gonna cost so much for the HVAC Band-Aid to be put on Quashnet School. And here we are saying, okay, Mrs. Jones, you can go to,
Yeah, I
and we'll
personally, I think
pay,
it's.
the budget's gonna pay for a substitute so that you can go on a
But-
trip.
Can we get a point of order? 'Cause I
Yes.
don't think we should be discussing
Yes.
personnel in open session for
Yes.
one, and that's at the discretion of the superintendent, not the board,
Yes.
respectfully.
Thank you, Vice Chair Whedon. Yeah, we're a little off track here. So I appreciate the update. I know it's a little disappointing, I'm sure, for you as well, because you had worked really
Done a lot
hard
of
with the
work.
students, and you did a lot of work for this. And I do want to recognize your dedication as an advisor to this class. I know you put your heart and soul into it. So I do want to thank you for that. I'm sorry that this is not exactly panning out the way everyone had
No,
hoped.
that's- it stinks.
If there are things that we can, like to Dr. Connor's point, if we can find out why some of the kids have dropped out that initially said they could, again, I'm willing to bet a lot of what's going on outside of our lovely schools is probably a factor. But yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I'm sure you share that disappointment. So again, I do want to thank you for the update. Thank you for your work. Thank you for trying to stay positive with this and doing what you can for the kids. And I guess we'll just keep going. Hopefully, I saw you have 4/22 as that deadline for the buses. Is that like, because you're waiting for the collaborative? I guess that's the only question I had there for that. The collaborative needs to get back to you on that, or?
That was the deadline given to us from the
Travel.
coordinator, but I actually called her yesterday and asked her about that deadline, and she said that it's a rough deadline.
Okay.
And I think that the bus, there's some details about the buses and the airfare that we need to
Okay.
work out. Like the collaborative can only drive at certain times, and
Oh,
so we have to make
okay.
sure that we fly at certain times.
Got it.
Did you check with, was it Luciano's, is that the name of
Lucini.
Lucini?
They might have the same kind of.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Well, Margaret
They're more
is looking
expensive.
into it, but I think they're more expensive than the collaborative.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we're trying to work within those parameters.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, may I just add one more
Yes.
thing? In gratitude to your family for being
Yes.
committed.
Thank you.
Yes.
They work hard for
They, our families often do also become
Yes.
attachments to this, so
Yes.
thank you to them as
Thank
well.
you, guys.
But
Yeah, I'll have
thank you.
Ms. Spinitsky reach out to Principal Brady and you to just coordinate for the three of us to meet in the next 2 weeks. And then what I can do is, after that meeting, I can bring an update to this committee on April 15th as to what we learned and where we stand, okay?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can put our
And
heads
also
together and
reach out
figure
to
it out.
families and get it worked out.
We can, yeah, the three of us will connect and figure out how we can do
Okay.
that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Connors, report and recommendations of the superintendent.
Okay, yes, and so at this time, I am going to turn it over to Principal Redmond, who's going to give you an update on the Coombs School and early literacy. And you have the handouts there too, of Principal Redmond's presentation.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you again. I wanted to provide you an update in regards to my school improvement plan goals, the genesis of where they came from. The first thing that we did was when I met with the teachers back when I was onboarding in the summer, we spoke about the need for implementation of a consistent phonics program, and they felt that the lack of it was impacting student growth in literacy overall. You'll notice that in the slide that I presented up in front of you is what we've done is we looked to find a program that was systematic, that would be K to 2. And one of the recommendations from, which was called UFly, so that's what we're implementing right now is UFly. And one of the recommendations was really to get an assessment or a benchmark of where our students were at the beginning of the year. And you'll notice that here is a composition of grade 1 and grade 2, which confirms, the results confirm the need for the phonics implementation of UFly. You'll notice that in grade 1 we had over half of the students placing in the kindergarten level, where only 38% were placed in the grade 1 level. And the gap widened in grade 2, with 40% of the students placing at the kindergarten level in phonics, and 25% rather, still remaining at the grade 1 level. So the suggestion from the teachers was valid, the data supports our initiative, so we fully implemented UFly back in the fall and developed a school improvement goal of increasing these phonics benchmarks by June 2026 by 15%. And this would be accomplished by explicit and systematic implementation of the UFly curriculum. Progress will be measured by the UFly Foundation's placement assessment, both the baseline at the beginning of the year and doing it again towards the end, probably late May, to see student growth. One of the things that we are really trying to drive home here at Casey Coombs is the framework for literacy and the 2 core foundational programs that we've put in place. I spoke about the UFly Foundation's program. We actually had the trainers from the University of Florida come and share with the teachers training in how to implement it, how to track student progress, and also how to progress monitor. So we have been doing that with Fidelity, and the teachers, I have to commend them for their ongoing support of this program, the fabulous implementation, and the progress that they have shared with me that they are seeing so far. In addition, we are looking at the Hegarty program that was already in place at the Casey Coombs School. However, we did need an overview of the actual implementation. So we had the trainers from Hegarty join us for an important professional development day back in the fall, winter rather. One of the things that the trainer did express and underscored in our training that day was that the lack of phonemic awareness is the most powerful determinant of the likelihood of failure to read. So really what we wanted to do is hone in on those 2 components, really ensure that the students have a strong phonemic awareness, making sure that they can auditorily isolate, blend, segment, and manipulate sounds, and also implementing with Fidelity our new phonics program, ensuring that they are decoding, encoding, self-correcting with automaticity. The investment in this from the fall began back in November 4th and 5th when we had the University of Florida trainers come to Casey Coombs and do that initial training with us. We had a follow-up session from another PD with a Q&A regarding the scope and sequence, the pacing, progress monitoring. And then on February 2nd, I spoke about how we had the Hegarty trainers come do a virtual training for all the teachers as a refresher of the implementation of this program for the students. One critical important part of this is the ongoing data meetings that we have with our reading coach, myself, the assistant, as the interim assistant principal, just to ensure that we are, implementing the lessons with Fidelity. We are, sharing our thoughts about supporting teachers and the implementation, and consistently progress monitoring weekly with spelling tests, and then administering those benchmarks for the fall and the winter. One of the things that I wanted to show to you is just evidence of what we do when we do have data meetings with our literacy coach. This suggestion came directly from our trainers, something that I've been familiar with in other districts, but really trying to close the gap. And so you'll see behind me, perfect, you'll see behind me, areas that we analyze. This is a class cohort. Notice in the red, areas of weakness. And so what we want to do is analyze that during our data meetings, our common planning times, and talk about what are the specific skills, who are we pulling, and for what. So the teachers are kind of really honing in on, for example, isolating the phoneme, the beginning blend, or the isolating the final sound, or segmenting. So we're specific, we're intentional, and we're targeting. You'll notice here just evidence of the skill acquisition from a fall benchmark of one student to a winter benchmark, just showing how we're closing that gap. And like I said, the Hegarty trainer, and I too agree with this, and the literacy coach does as well, it's so imperative that these students close this gap for phonemic awareness before we even access the phonics program. So we're doing it in tandem, and we're seeing really, really great results. One of the things that we do in fall, winter, and spring is to do what we call our progress, our diagnostics, and we use STAR Early Literacy and the STAR Reading. There were 188 students in the fall that took the STAR Literacy assessment, and in the winter, they transitioned to 101. So where did those students go? It means that they actually graduated and went on to the STAR Reading diagnostic, because we have two in our building to show growth over time. So for example, we have approximately 46 of the students that initially were taking that early STAR literacy diagnostic graduated and now showing evidence that they can do the STAR reading assessment. I dove a little deeper to talk about some of the progress. For every learner, we had, in the beginning of the year, for those early literacy students, the early literacy diagnostic focuses on two key areas, phonemic awareness and phonics, and we're really honing in on that with our new curriculum. So there were 39 students on watch, and on the winter benchmark, we found 23, so a significant decrease. At the intervention level, we noticed 27 in the fall needing support, only now seeing in the winter benchmark 11. Urgent were 36 students in the fall, reduced now to 22 students. And we are continuing our spring progress monitoring this week. And we hope to even shrink down those numbers as well. So again, really using our data to target and hone in on the students that need it. So the whole goal really, it has been helpful because we've been looking at the historical data, we're looking at that pre and post UFly benchmarks, we're encouraging all teachers with fidelity to document their lessons, assessments, and completion using the data trackers, and again, we speak about that during our data meetings with the teachers. We're also at the preschool and pre-K level identifying prerequisite skills for those students. Those teachers too are using Hegarty for their curriculum. We're providing that professional development for UFly, and we're looking at systems of support for both the Tier 2 and the Tier 3 level. And again, it's just kind of highlighting the importance of really implementing a research-based curriculum, making sure that it's teacher-led and it's driven and data-driven and implemented with fidelity, so that we can show proof with our data. And we really are excited about this. I see continued progress. And I know that first initial slide was concerning, but I feel as though if we did the placement test next year, you would see a real close in that gap. And that's what we want to see. And it excites me as a principal, but it also encourages the teachers that this implementation is working for students and we're seeing the difference. And then as a final, I have another school improvement plan around social emotional learning, and I spoke about that last time I met with you. And so we established a goal of creating a behavioral health implementation team to research social emotional programs, and we've done that through the course of this year. We developed a pre-survey for the teachers to look at their understanding of a portrait of a graduate, their competencies, and trying to align a future program with some SEL skills. And I'm happy to say, after researching various programs like Ruler, Everyday Speech, and the digital version of Second Step, we've chosen to implement and pilot this spring the digital Second Step. And so that's going to be from pre-K to 2. We're also already using it. I know our school adjustment counselors are already using some of the pilot for our Tier 2 intervention. So we are excited about this implementation. This will be our new curriculum for the fall as well. What's nice about this program is there's consistency among the grade levels. Kindergarten, first and second, all have similar units. Unit 1 is around growth mindset and goal setting. Unit 2 covers emotional management. Unit 3 would cover empathy and kindness, and Unit 4 would be problem-solving skills. So we're encouraged with this new pilot, and we're hoping to see some great results. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Okay,
If I, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a comment. You don't have to run back. Obviously, I can't sit across from you and speak to the data that you folks have, but having a first grader in school who came into the year not wanting to read, being unable to read, and now coming home with a multitude of skills, excitement, and saying that it's the U-Fly curriculum, telling me about the PH and the Fs and the sounds and I'm playing dumb because I'm like, oh really? No way. Vast improvement for him, which is reflective of the hard work that you guys are doing.
The
So-
teachers deserve all the credit. They have really done a phenomenal job in taking on this and, using it with fidelity, asking good questions, being reflective in data meetings. It's all good things, and, our data is driving our instruction, and we're seeing some great results. And I love hearing positive feedback from students that they're sharing this learning at home. So that's a win. That's a
Yes,
big win
and
for
it's
us.
the culture of learning.
Yes.
And again, when you have students and children who are excited to
Yes,
learn,
yes.
it is so beautiful to
Yes,
watch. So,
yes.
so thank you all.
Oh, that's encouraging. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, I appreciate the data too. It's nice to see that
Numbers.
deep
Yeah.
dive in
Yeah.
the numbers. Like, seriously, I mean, we have like something to put our hands around and say, okay.
All right.
All right.
Principal Switzer. Tough act to follow, no pressure. Just kidding. Not trying to create competition.
Everyone, she was supposed to be last month.
You were supposed to have the spotlight all to yourself.
That was always.
We'll make sure that we get weather more appropriate next time.
No more blizzards, Jane, no more blizzards. All right. Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
It's been a little while since I've been here, so it's good to see everyone. I'm gonna share about our school improvement plan as well. I will remind everyone that when I presented the first time this year, I held it to one slide. I'm gonna make up for that time a little bit tonight. I just owe it, we owe it to the students and staff in the building at Quashnet. They've been putting so much time, energy, and effort into accomplishing these goals that I wanna make sure that I'm diligent, take the time to share with all of you and share it with the public who frankly might be interested. So, we had set out at the beginning of the year with 5 SMART goals on our school improvement plan. Before I get to that, I am going to do some quick celebrations, just some real highlights that have happened this year that I really want to share with everyone. We're going to talk about the new report card, where we're at with that, the progress on that. POG rubrics and special classes, writing PD. A lot of this stuff goes together, by the way, and we'll get there. The mathematics vocab anchor charts we've been developing, and then our science and social studies journals to really get a grasp on where we're at with science and social studies. We haven't had a social studies curriculum. We've had a loose science curriculum in the past, and we're looking at how we can improve those programs. And the first thing we can do is figure out where we're at. So, as far as celebrations go, I just want to give a few shout outs. For anyone who attended the Putt for a Purpose event on March 7th, our PTO raised $11,000.
Nice.
I know, and profit, because of all the community organizations that sponsored the holes, they were up $5,000 before the event even started. And so just a really big shout out to Jackie Rodriguez, our president, and Rachel Thomas, our vice president. They are hustlers. They went to every single store in Mashpee Commons. They got everything donated. Danny and I were here all day. So just a major shout out to that. And then they immediately at the next meeting gave $5,000 to sponsor the Whale Watch trip, which you went on last year. So, and just got really good feedback. That's a big celebration about our kids, really not just at the end of Quashnet, but they're another time on this campus, you
Yeah.
know, and then we send them off to Miss Brady. But Kelly went last year, everyone can bring a parent, we rent the whole boat.
Yeah.
And so the PTO is fully sponsoring that.
That's awesome.
I know last year you had to pay a couple bucks,
It
but
wasn't
this
too-
year,
wasn't too bad.
no, it wasn't, but the PTO was able to
No,
sponsor
that's
the entire
awesome.
event free for
Excellent.
kids and parents. So
That
big
is
shout out to
awesome.
them. Unsung Heroes, we talked a little bit about both Mary Stickley and Dave Williams. But just a quick shout out. I mean, Mary, the work she does behind the scenes to help our, I would say, new developing teachers, young teachers, the culture that we have in Mashpee, is just a collaborative approach between administration and our staff. And so to just have union leadership that are problem solvers, I appreciate Mary a lot. And then Dave, we see Dave a little more out in the community. The amount of kids that will show up randomly at 4:30 and knock on the door looking for Dave and their high school kids. And do you have him as a teacher? No, he's my baseball coach. Do you have him a teacher? Yeah, he was my 6th grade teacher. So Dave does so much, and he stays late with our kids, to raise money, do the concession stands, the PTO events. I mean, the time that these two have given to us, I just appreciate, and that's on top of they're both fantastic teachers. For
Best
everyone who's
day
had them. The clubs pickup, just a quick note on that, because I know, those were some tough decisions that really this group had to make on late bus. We are at a point where we're in, we're a good, I would say, 8 to 10 weeks into the second session, about right? Yeah, about 8 weeks, February and March, I can't believe we're already through March. But I walked in after sending out the message the night before of the fact that we have to get rid of the late bus. I was expecting to get some emails from parents being like, oh my gosh, I'm late bus. I didn't walk into any emails of that, but I walked in about 6 emails in the morning. I opened up my computer about 7:30 a.m. of parents offering to give other kids rides if they need it. And I know sometimes people joke about the connected community thing, but that's a moment that I had that truly demonstrates that. Parents being like, I'll take a kid anywhere in Mashpee who needs to go. We've had a few parents since then kids who have reached out. Through our counselors, social workers, we have carpools going on. Not one kid got left out of clubs that I'm aware of. So we really covered that pretty thoroughly, and I did have confidence in that when I spoke to Dr. Connors that we would get that covered. So that's just a major shout out to our community. And then Janelle's gonna be featured a lot tonight, because Janelle is just really, we're so happy to have her here. I'm so proud that Janelle's our 4th grade special ed teacher, and to bring her and I started the same year, and we worked together here. And she's taken on this district leadership role as the Indian Ed coordinator. But one of the projects she did this year was during Native American Heritage Month in November. In the past, we had read biographies that we put together as an administration. We read biographies on morning announcements. Janelle said this year, what if we had the kids write their own? So using the Indian Ed tutoring program, we had all the kids in Quashnet interview. You probably heard about this, Brian. Like, they were out in the community, they interviewed their Mashpee Wampanoag role models, and they came on, they wrote these, they edited them, they worked with Janelle, and they came on more announcements and read them and presented them. And that's just like, a small tidbit, but they refined them. So I was hoping, I have one here for us to watch as an example. If we could jump to 208. Because you don't want to see me on my morning announcements. I recorded them. We recorded them all and shared them with families. But this is our 4th grade friend, Trenton, and he's going to present on Chiefly, and you'll get an idea of what we did.
Get the
every day.
volume.
Can't hear it.
Yeah.
He was born in New Bedford in 1935. As a boy, he was interested in plants and Indian medicine. His role models are Jim Thorpe, Crazy Horse, and Geronimo. A challenge for Chiefy was trying to find information about indigenous plant medicine. There weren't many books at the time. An achievement for Chiefy was becoming an active member of the Native American movement. He traveled all over the U.S. and Canada. In the 1970s, in the 2000s, several people from the community were looking for someone to serve as chief. After a ceremony, they chose Chief Beat. He is now the chief of the Mashpee tribe.
Good job. Did you write that? Fantastic. So for those who don't know, I do my morning announcements on Zoom. That was a change from the last year. So we had enough kids who wanted to do it. They interviewed their Mashpee Wampanoag role models, and we filled every day in November. It was just an awesome project. And a shout out to Janelle for getting that going. So I want to recognize that. All right, that was fun stuff. Now we'll get into our school improvement plan. I'm really excited about where the new report card work has gone. A lot of the projects this year I'm a big believer that like quality collaboration is messy, right? Like we have to hear voices, and sometimes you get a certain place, and if you go forward and it's not exactly where you want to be, you got to back up. This has been a lot of work. So the SMART goals up at the top. Our goal was to have a report card committee that would analyze the current report card and do work to form a new report card. What it turned into was more people in the building wanted to have a voice. Also, just some direction on starting with quashing it that I hadn't like fully anticipated initially. So every team, I've been meeting with every grade level team and the special teams to do this work and start preparing a new report card. I'm gonna update you on where we're at. We're not done. But it is going to Dr. Connors tomorrow. I have a meeting with her and Ms. Hill. I've already talked to Ms. Hill about it. It went to the school council. We got parent perspective. And at some point, hopefully, if Dr. Connors likes it, which I hope she does, I hope you have the same response that Ms. Hill did because she liked it. It will go to the school committee, subcommittee, no pressure. I can take feedback too.
Yes, you can.
And then I'm also been working with Ms. Maroney on the tech side of it, because that back end part that the parents don't see and the kids don't even see, that our staff have to enter grade. And when it comes to standard-based report cards, standards-based, I said the word based is key here, because they're not just list of standards report cards, they're supposed to be based off of standards. It's a lot for teachers to enter. The standard, there's a plethora of standards, and then they come out to form a certain grade. So that's gonna be a big piece of the work, and Sean's already working on that. And our hope is to roll this out for the start of next year, and we're gonna see where we get. The tech component is gonna be a major piece.
Can we pause? Oh, you're still doing report cards, sorry.
I'm happy.
I was just gonna say, your next step, I do see school committee subcommittee review, so this will require a review of the subcommittee, so I don't know how far or how long after. I mean, I know we've got you and Camille right now, but in May we reorganize, that's a little
Yeah.
ways off, so I don't know how soon that turnaround needs to be, but if we should meet before we reorganize.
I think it would be best to meet before we reorganize so that Sean can work on getting everything into Power School, everything's ready, the teachers have time at the end of the year to really see what it looks like on the computer, so we're ready to launch in
So
the
do
fall.
you wanna reach out to Sherry with some dates that
So
work?
after tomorrow and your approval, then it would come to, I got you, Mr.
Wait till I
Smith.
do it, Michelle, because
Yeah, we can get it on the books.
I will reach out to Sherry, yes.
Thank you.
Everybody here is used to the process, and this is what I'm saying about things being messy and going forward and having to come back. Every group that we've gone through gives me another great idea. I brought it to school council thinking the drafts were done, and they gave a great recommendation on the portion of a graduate grading. I thought this is fantastic. So I am anticipating Dr. Connors gives you some good ideas I want to.
Well, I don't think they're meeting the next day after you meet with her,
No.
so I think I think we can probably
got
get
time
something
for
on the
that.
books for,
Alright.
just for planning
Yeah,
purposes, because
yeah.
it's you and Camille, and who's the alternate for policy?
I think it was me.
Wait, might be your, you,
We'll say, yeah.
all right,
Policy is Brian.
oh, Brian.
Get excited.
All right, I
I'm
just
not
wanted to
gonna
get that out there, because I
anywhere.
saw it, and I'm like, wait, so, all
All
right.
right, so I just want to go with I have an example here of just, again, this is draft format, but I want to give you kind of example of direction, the direction this is headed. So up at the top, we really set out with two goals, okay? We wanted to establish a common criteria for all standards. Something I learned when I got here is you could have, let's say you have fifth grade twins in two different classes, they might come home with one trimester and have different grades in their report card. That's not good. We gotta have structure in the units and standards we're teaching every trimester, so we're making sure we're assessing them all, and then having common assessments on how we're assessing the students, so there's not this really huge fluctuation between classrooms. So that was a major goal for us as educators. And then the real big one is we just wanna have clearer communication with families. We want it to be clear. I think for a typical parent who wants to look, and this is through conversation I have, a typical parent wants to look and say, okay, my kid's doing great, got mostly threes, oh, there's a 2, they're continuing to work there, and good job, and they wanna go forward. The current report card wasn't super digestible. And I go back to this idea of it's standards based. We felt like the current report card, and you can see a model of the old one, kind of like picked and chose some different standards. And it was like kind of this list in between, oh, we're listing standards, but we don't have all of them. And so what we did is we wanted to move to a much simpler front end that parents can see. So this is an example of the grade 4 ELA section and the adjustment that it's made. And it's getting simpler into like comprehension of the two different types of text we read, writing, grammar command, and then effort in both reading and writing. Sheriff, you could click on that document or that link at the bottom. But here's the key component, and this is probably what I'm most proud of. This has been a tremendous amount of work. If you could scroll down to the ELA, I wish I knew what page it was. This one right here, that's good. If you could just go down and show the comprehension of informational text, that's perfect, that's a good example. Okay, so what you saw was the front of a report card. Every report card is backed with a standard alignment document. I talked to Sean, I don't want to make promises I can't deliver it on, but we're trying to get a QR code on the report card. But regardless, this is going to be available online. What this does is it accounts for every single standard in the grade level, all the fourth grade standards in every subject area, and which standards contribute to which grades in the report card. So if you see for comprehension of informational text, do you mind just keep scrolling? You can see there are 9 different standards that contribute to that grade. And that's what the grade is based on. It's the standard-based report card. So teachers will be assessing, and they can link these in Power School to different assessments we do, whether it's Reveal, Wonder, Social Studies, Science, and then they can grade these specific standards and then the grades that you put in. So like on trimester 1, we might have a situation where grade 4 is doing 4.1, 4.3, and 4.5, and those 3 standards will contribute to make a grade. So then if you, sorry, I just want to do a math example real quick, if we could just scroll down. It's going to be a little bit, this is a pretty hefty document. All right, so if you look at generalized place value structure, thank you, Shay. There's 3 standards in the entire 4th grade that really contribute to place value, and they come up in our first unit. So we're looking at those 3 standards. So what does this document do? It essentially gets teachers to align. We're accountable for grading every single standard, and then it's giving an output of a grade. It's allowing parents to access as much as they want. I'm not being going to be fooled and think that the majority of parents are going to access this document, but if you have questions, it provides the guidance for teachers and parents to have that discourse over what may be, you know, if you have 2 3s, if you have 2 3s and a 2, so the bottom one, let's say, use place value understanding around multi-digit whole numbers any place, and the kid gets a 3, the teacher can make a comment like, the kid is meeting expectations and we need to continue to work on place value understanding. So, but any parent who wants to find more information, this is here. So I think most of this document will be used by educators, but it means that every grade on the report card is fully backed and based off of the standards that the teachers are teaching and assessing. I will say, I was hoping Trish would be here because Trish said to me on this document, and this I thought was the ultimate, hey, come on, this is the ultimate phrase. She said, I wish I had thought to do that in Sandwich. And I said, will you say that at school committee? And she said, I'm not going to be there. I'll say it for you. I just thought that was the ultimate phrase.
Your shoulder, you should ice your shoulder tonight. It's gonna hurt. You know, pat yourself.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all the mistakes I made. All right, thank you. So that's just a sample of the report card. I'm really excited, and hopefully we get the whole thing. It's been a ton of work, so if it does get delayed because we got to go through the school committee, subcommittee, and tech, it is what it is. But the teachers have been working so diligently on this.
I'm gonna give you a hard time.
I was gonna say, I don't know how delayed the school committee might make it, but.
I might delay it. I'm just kidding.
It's fine.
I'm teasing.
I'm very happy with how.
No, as
He's
long as,
flexible.
All right, POG,
Yeah.
POG rubrics. This was our goal to really bring the portrait of a graduate off of the poster and into life, and we started with the special teachers. It's another one that we really have considered all different areas on, and so we got to a place where we went simple. We're trying to bring each indicator into a different special that fits the mold of the certain unit they're doing. So, and then the goal for next year will be that special teachers sharing this with the general ed teachers. So if we just go forward, this one I can kind of go through quick because we're in a great place. Here's an example of 2 different ones. We are working to get them more formatted. We're still, again, this is an update, but the one on the left is an example of, I think, where we're gonna head as a school. So where every rubric of all the units that we do, and right now we're doing this in all the specials, you can see here's a digital literacy and computer science one, it's about cybersecurity in grade 5, and purposeful communicator made sense given that we're talking about cybersecurity and how you communicate online. So teachers bringing that to students' attention at the start of a unit, that will also be part of the assessment, and then the standards that align for DLCS there. So the threat description, data, and security tech and digital tools use. So that's being used across specials now loosely, because we're trying out some different things, and hopefully gonna be implementing that building-wide next year for all of our units. Writing PD, common success criteria. This is one we all know that our writing data is an area we want to improve. So this came out of that. We are a little delayed. We did 2 great PDs, but I really needed 3 PD sessions, and because we lost the March 13th, and I'm all for getting the kids into school, we just didn't get a chance to do the success criteria. So we will probably need to do that next year. But this was huge. We looked at every single kid's actual MCAS essay writing as a staff in here in this library that they wrote last year. Teachers shared with me some of them have never seen that information before, and it is very eye-opening when you see a student that you've taught, you know can do really well, and on MCAS they write about this much. So although we haven't developed the common success criteria, which basically hopefully will look like kind of like a checklist that kids can look at every grade level, what we can expect, teachers immediately started implementing ideas and having discussions in their classroom how to improve writing and structure. Even getting down to, like, one of our issues when we talk about young writers in, say, 3rd and 4th grade is they all want to start with once upon a time. And sometimes there needs to be an explanatory essay, or they need to pull sources. And an MCAS, as we've learned, because Mr. Carroll and I look at this a lot, is like, if you start with the wrong type of writing, you get a 0. They don't want to see narrative when they ask for explanatory. So the first thing our 3rd grade teachers did from this piece is like, we got to go and be deliberate. So now you're seeing in 3rd grade rooms, every time they started writing assignments, what type of writing is this? It's that simple to make sure we're getting started. Dr. Tonis, Mr. Carroll, and I led this. It was pretty productive, but it was collaborative in groups. If you move to the next slide, I just thought this was high praise. This is Miss Amenta. She's one of our 6th grade ELA teachers, really dedicated to literacy background. Just commenting on how much she appreciated that we spend the time, because we were looking at student work, specifically student work. And then I was giving teachers time to think for themselves and with their teams and how to improve and help students. And I think that was really appreciated. I heard a lot of good feedback from teachers, and just thank you for letting us look at the writing. That's something administrators have access to. A lot of teachers have never seen the actual writing that goes on.
So it just hadn't been given before, or?
MCAS the DESI's funny. They don't always release everything.
Okay.
So like during COVID, they weren't releasing a lot of information, or we didn't have the test. So like it's been choppy going back years. And then it just takes taking time to print them out and take time to look at them. And I don't know if that wasn't happening. It hadn't happened in my previous 2 years here. There hadn't been like a drive. But like to Dr. Connor's credit, she really wanted to push on tier 1 instruction, and writing was an area. So as we dove in, we learned, we know these are available to us. So making sure this is an annual thing we do for sure. But yeah, it just hadn't been happening.
All right, we'll get those dark and stormy night as no.
Math vocab and anchor charts. This came from, we learned, again, looking at our data, looking at the STAR data that Ms. Redmond talked about earlier. One of the things that came out of our brand new MTSS process last year was that we learned our EL students in particular were not scoring well in math. And I think that, we can all recognize, we take a step back, just how language-driven math is, but that's where this came from. And then going back, this is gonna help all kids. So Courtney Schneeweis, who's our EL team leader, and Dr. Tonis, who's our literacy curriculum, did a one-time PD at the start of the year. Oh, sorry, it was Steph Souza, because it was math. Steph Souza, our math coach. At the beginning of the year to get our teachers going on doing anchor charts. So basically it's for different vocabulary, for content-specific language, they're gonna need to complete the math, putting up visuals on the wall for kids to access, and actually walking through what different terms mean before you're diving into the math instruction. Then from there, every month, we've had a meeting that Ms. Souza runs with all of our math teachers, just making sure we're maintaining that vocab. And if you go to the next slide, you can see some examples here of just making sure that, we're not just delivering instruction verbally, especially for our students who don't speak English as a first language, and making sure that visuals are there. And so that, we're starting to see that come to life around in different classrooms. So you can see practice. All right, social studies and science journals. I would say with this, we're ahead of schedule because we've already started to dive into a new social studies curriculum, and it happened pretty organically. Our teams have been noting in their journals what's actually happening, what they're teaching for science and social studies as the year goes on. But most of our social studies content here, going back years at watching it, has been teacher created, so it's inconsistent. Our science, we use mystery science, and actually our science scores, when we look at MCAS in 5th grade, is one of our highlights, but still an area we want to improve. But what's happened is as teachers have been taking these journals, it was actually the 4th grade team that originally came to me, and they were like, we're realizing the lack of, of social studies content we have and the accuracy of it. And we need to be diligent about that anywhere, but in Mashpee, where we have so many native students in our classrooms, we want to make sure that we're looking at it from all different perspectives of culture. And then on top of that, there's an area, I go back to like how to improve that writing with explanatory text and pulling sources. It's really, the work is in the science and social studies units, not so much in literacy where you're reading novels. That's really where you get a lot of narrative. So what happened was we learned that DESE, I actually reached out to some people I had taught with Priorities Falmouth, and they were piloting this new DESE program called Investigating History. It is brand new this year. It's in a pilot phase in DESE, and get ready, the curriculum starts in 3rd grade. So
Perfect.
I'm happy about that, right? It's a
Perfect.
3 to 6 curriculum, which is amazing. We never have anything, I shouldn't say that. It feels heartwarming to me that something covers all the Quashnet grades. And it's going to be, it's going great. And so our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teams jumped on it. They're all piloting units. And then our 3rd grade team, with just the literacy structure, we have 3 different teachers who felt like they wanted to give it a shot. And I wasn't going to pressure teachers because, again, we're ahead of schedule. I wasn't thinking we would pilot anything until next year. The curriculum is free because DESE produced it. As we're going through this, I learned that, here's Janelle again. Janelle pops up. Janelle had been contracted and been working with them, along with Brad Lopes, who used to work for the tribe and now is in Aquinnah, to fact check. They have it's a group from Tufts, but they've employed certain Native American educators, Indigenous educators from around the Commonwealth to fact check it and make sure that they're coming at it from a Native lens and just a cultural lens that's home to to Massachusetts. So that gave me a lot of confidence that we were going the right direction.
Brad did a presentation for us on that work, didn't he? Like something about I remember Brad came and spoke about the curriculum, so that's kind of interesting that it's coming full circle in a sense.
Yeah, I didn't know Janelle and Brad were involved until the 4th grade team was talking about it. Now Janelle's on the 4th grade team, so she's like, I've been working on this, and that was just a great thing. But she was doing it from outside of the school. She was just an independent contractor.
Yeah, and I think Brad had I'm remembering. I don't remember when, but I remember Brad sitting
Yeah,
and
he was
telling
saying
us
something
about.
it.
Yeah. So we're in a pilot phase. Our hope is that when 4th, 5th, and 6th grade finish units, Ms. Hill and I are going to meet with every group and do focus groups. The early review from a lot of teachers is that it's really quality content, and I keep hearing the writing is great, but also that it's long, and that happens a lot, I think, with new curriculums where the pacing is off because the people who create it want to pack so much in. I'm not 100% sure where we're going to go with this yet, as far as are we looking at full adoption? Are we looking at maybe piloting a few more units next year? But it's happened so organically that I wanted the teachers to run with it. These are some examples from a 3rd grade class. And you can see on the left there, the pre-assessment, the opening, having kids get up, be active, they're writing their ideas on sticky notes. What do you already know about the American Revolution? What are you curious about? Then they're having conversation. Miss Keefe, the 3rd grade teacher, was talking. She's like, the conversation happening in my 3rd grade room around this is more conversation than I've seen in years. She's like, I've been teaching social studies for a long time. it's inquiry-based instruction. So all the instructions around kids being curious and asking questions. That's the basis of it. It's a richer, deeper understanding of the past and present. And you can see here, writing. And although it's basic writing, like it's really thoughtful in the way kids are actually putting pencil on paper. It's nice to have them off the Chromebooks. It's nice to have them thinking. They do these things called like VIP people. So Phyllis Wheatley was like a very important person of the history they did that day. And then real quick, I do want to, we can cruise through this. I know you're all probably tired of hearing from me, but I want to show you this. This just gives you, this was a lesson that they just did in grade 3. If you just, we're going to go through this quickly. There are a lot of think, pair, share. For those of you who might not be familiar with think, pair, share, I think quietly for a minute. I pair, so we bounce ideas off each other, and then we share out. It's a really nice mechanic to teach students how to have that group discussion. And there's a lot of that. Oh, and sorry, go back, Share. I'm sorry, I just forgot. Also, if you see, we can all see as adults where this is going. If you read this, it's basically saying, they're heading towards taxes, right? But it's putting it for kids, and the idea is, they want to build a skate park.
Anybody under the age of 18 must pay okay.
Every minute they use the internet for streaming, gaming, and TV to pay for the
The
skate park.
That is awesome.
So you can immediately see the application going into the 3rd grade.
I'm using that.
You collect from KJ?
Yes.
Yeah. And then it goes into like, do you think this law is fair? And think about it, they're talking about a skate park and streaming in a 3rd grade room, but then it progresses. And we're building a word wall. We're looking at vocab, taxes. Then we're looking at state taxes. We're building a library. Then, yeah, we can go down, keep going. It breaks up words. Going back to like, we're still building literacy skills. Taxation is talking about suffixes. And then there's reading, writing. You keep going. Connection, supporting questions. You can see how awesome this is. And then in Mrs. Q's class right now, going around the room, they're building a timeline. So every day they do a different event, and the kids are writing and putting up things in the timeline. So they just did Boston Tea Party, and they were actually looking at different synthesizing of sources. And there's a sketch that someone made of the Boston Tea Party of everyone standing and clapping, and it's happening in broad daylight. We all know that didn't happen. And they're synthesizing that, but that's put out there. You can relate that directly to like factual information, how do we see that today? And then there's, journal articles about people who are actually participating, and so they're synthesizing different sources. And what Mrs. Keefe said to me today, because we talked about this a little bit, she's like, they get it. The 3rd graders get it. It's really impressive. So we get the idea of that. I'm trying to go fast here.
You're good.
Okay. Jane took half my time.
I think I said 10 minutes apiece. Jane was well within 10 minutes. I'm just saying. It's okay. You're very excited.
You're very excited
and you're
about your progress. so-
Yes, and that makes this, it's a wonderful job. No, that was
Questions,
very,
comments, discussion.
I can feel your excitement.
Yes,
like
I was
that.
just gonna say, it's exciting to see how excited you are.
Yes,
And,
very much so.
and seeing and I can see them and I can picture them just from walking through these halls, like the kids getting all excited. And I like the fact of getting them off their Chromebooks, because not for nothing, I have a 7th grader who writes like a 2nd grader, because they have Chromebooks and there's not a penmanship class. And so it's a good thing to get them off the Chromebooks when we can and have them actually write. So thank you, that's awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Elijah, I'll just, if I may. I know that we talked about Elijah needing to ice his arm, but I would say that for the teachers and everyone who's been involved in this process, as a parent who had a multitude of questions about report cards at the beginning of the year and not quite knowing or having a guide to be able to bounce it off of, this is beautiful and really challenging work, so thank you. And as, coming back to the Putt for a Purpose for a moment, as we had community members coming through that have never really been a part of the school itself, and they were touring and seeing all of the really amazing work that the students were doing through all grades, all disciplines, all classes, social studies, etc. It was really meaningful to them. So that display and that hard work goes well beyond just the students and their families. It definitely is tapping into the community at large. So thank you, and thank you to the wonderful staff at Quash who are working really hard on this.
And thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm gonna echo
Thank
those
you.
thanks. It's a lot of hard work and it's showing, so
Thank you.
appreciate your efforts and looking forward to what's coming,
I
cause
can't wait to show you the report card.
I'm excited for it. I love the standards, so I'm like, this is gonna be good. All right.
Okay, next slide, please. All right, just a quick intro to Dr. Benner's amazing presentation. So we are required to submit a progress update to DESE on our Student Opportunity Act, and that update is due April 1st. And it asks us to provide the summary of progress from this current school year based on the Student Opportunity Act that was submitted last spring. If there's any changes that we are suggesting that need to be made to the plan and why, the ongoing activities that we are planning to engage families, caregivers, and other stakeholders. And then number 4 is really a new piece, right, Dr. Benner, to the plan that didn't previously exist around strengthening workforce development through the Mass Leads Act. So Dr. Benner has put in a lot of work. She has shared everything with us, sought our feedback, and I'm pleased to turn it over to Dr. Benner to present the progress update and next steps.
Yes, thank you. This is a,
Section
Subject-
E in your packet, if you want to follow along. Section E, pardon me. I'm
no
sorry.
worries, no worries. I was just gonna say, this is a
Because
topic
we're out of order, so
Nope.
Section E.
that I have a lot of big feelings about, but mine will probably not come out as publicly as some of our previous friends.
Get Elijah to present for you.
So we can certainly talk more later, but essentially, going through the Student Opportunity Act plan, this is what my presentation is gonna cover. I am gonna go a little further into the overview of the SOA plan, give you an update on our implementation here in Mashpee, share some student outcome data. So another piece of data for tonight. Talk about some key plan revisions, and really I want to spend some time talking about the theory of action, about why we're changing our plan, so you can understand that as a committee, and set out our commitment going forward through the SOA plan. So we can go ahead and move forward. So the Student Opportunity Act, I like writing it all out because those words are really what's important to me. It's student opportunity. And essentially, the Student Opportunity Act requirement is driven by law. It requires us all to create this plan as a district to find and close the opportunity and achievement gaps that exist in Mashpee. The plan must be approved by school committee, and annual progress reports must be given. So that the formal progress report that I'll be writing that I have written and is included in your packet, includes all of those kind of the chapter of content, so to speak, and is due for submission by 4/1. But I'd actually like to go a little bit bigger than that. So on to the next slide. These are really the elements of the plan. So we identify the disparities that exist in our district. We select from a menu of evidence-based practices presented to us by DESE to address those disparities. We create a 3-year plan, so the plan was started in 2024 to narrow gaps for those groups. Again, securing the school committee approval for the plan and the public sharing, part of which, done here, but also sharing with stakeholders more widely. And then that last piece, implementing it, incorporating feedback in kind of real time in what we're doing in practice, and ultimately improving student outcomes. Now, what you might notice here is that we've got 4 check marks. We've done 4 of these things. We really have fallen off a bit in that last item, and that's where I'm going to be talking about our implementation plan update. I want to orient you a little bit more closely to what was written in the 2024 plan. There's a lot of information in here, but let me walk you through the process again. So we identify subgroups that experience a disparity in achievement or opportunity. So the 2 groups that Mashpee selected were our students with disabilities, hence why I'm presenting with you, and our low-income students. So we identified those 2 groups. We identified the areas where they are not performing at the same level as their peers. The original 2024 plan selected 1 evidence-based practice, which was to promote students' physical and mental health and wellness in welcome, affirming, and safe spaces. From that, the plan that was created was to hire a district-wide social worker to provide holistic support to students. And really to the students, to their families, to the staff that serve them. And like I said, that approval was secured and the plan was shared, so it was presented to you all in March of 2024. It went over to DESE in April of 2024. There was an annual update that was sent into DESE last year, and now I'm doing the 2026 update here. So like I said, we're missing on that last check mark. And this is kind of what I've been able to put together and what I want, to kind of really cue your attention to here in regards to the Student Opportunity Act. We all know there's been some significant leadership turnover in Mashpee, both at the central office level and at the building level. That's a reality that we face as a district. Our plan was to hire a district-wide social worker. We did not do that. We have one social worker that works at one school. We do not have a district-wide social worker. And the lack of continuity in plan implementation is likely due to that leadership turnover. And I'm sure we could come up with other reasons, but I'm going to say that's one of the big drivers for us struggling to implement this plan.
Which school has the social worker in
Quashnet.
Quashnet, okay.
Yep. So what this means, our outcomes can't be attributed to any district level intervention. Negative or positive outcomes were really not necessarily a result of concerted district effort. You heard two of our building principals talk tonight about a lot of the hard work that our staff is doing. That is not to take away from that, but in terms of district focus and a coherent plan, that can't be really the attributing factor to change. So we need a rebuild. And really what I culled together in terms of this rebuild is the SOA to me is not a standalone plan that we create and then we put in a file somewhere or we just submit to fulfill a DESE requirement. It needs to be a living document. So what I did in the new plan is that I interweaved the school improvement plans that you heard about tonight, the recommendations we've already received from our DESE review. We're actually going to have two other DESE reviews that are coming, one in special ed and one for our EL students. So those recommendations are going to be coming in. That will continue to inform the SOA plan moving forward. And then the district strategic planning work. Instead of having these splintered plans or lack of plans, I think that they should be married. And for a couple different reasons that I'll get into further in the plan. And then also just transparency, what I think has been a goal of this administration, and it is a goal as far as what I'm sharing tonight. We have major gaps, and we need to talk about those, look to how to close them, and kind of be honest with ourselves as a community about where we are and where we can go. So here's some data. Now this is taken from the tool that DESE recommends that we use as part of the Student Opportunity Act. It's called the District Heat Map. And really these metrics are around MCAS, absenteeism, graduation rates, so on and so forth. These are not all the data points available to us as a district, but these are the ones that DESE asks us to look at most closely when considering the Student Opportunity Act. And the numbers are not good here. We are below the state average on all of these suggested metrics in terms of our students with disabilities and our low-income students. One of the ones that pops out biggest to me is 0% of our 6th and 8th grade students with disabilities are meeting or exceeding expectations on MCAS for respective ELA or math. It flips a little bit in 6th and 8th grade from math to ELA with a 6% decline. So some of these numbers are highly concerning to me, and I think should be highly concerning to us as a district leadership team. So here are the revisions. Again, I'm shifting away from that one evidence-based practice, shifting away from that one solution of a district social worker hire, and looking at a multi-pronged approach. And these are the 3 prongs that I'm proposing, which I shouldn't really say that I'm proposing necessarily, but that, again, interlock with these plans that our schools have talked about, our recommendations, from all the things that need to fit together, yes. So the key 3 focus areas: multi-tiered systems of support. So really, getting a district-wide MTSS framework that is actionable, a district-wide DCAP, a curriculum accommodation plan, to promote access for all students. Really focusing on making sure that students have access to high-quality instructional materials, and we've heard about some of that tonight as well. High-quality materials and learning experiences. Aligning the materials to a shared instructional vision. That was one of the key components that came out of the DESE review. And strengthening our in-district programming for SPED, which by the way, is a major, major cost driver for us in district. And then the third focus area being professional development. So really looking at increasing our staff capacity around database decision-making, the kind of work that Ms. Redmond spoke to, happening around literacy at KCC. Strengthening our instructional leadership. Instructional leadership, people who are instructional leaders don't necessarily just have to wear a cap or a title. We have many instructional leaders, and those are our star teachers who can help promote high quality experiences for kiddos, and then promoting inclusive practices. So as far as why to change to these 3 areas of practice, the focus on wellness is certainly core. However, the theory that I think we need to take a look at together is that academic achievement and student wellness are inseparable. We need our students to have both. So this is not a matter of shelving student wellness by any means, and I'm looking at one of the members of the committee that might have some thoughts about that. It's a matter of making it part of a multi-pronged approach. And that students cannot thrive socially, emotionally, or physically without also experiencing meaningful, rigorous, and affirming academic opportunities. That I think needs to be really top of mind for us as a district. Let's flesh that out a little bit more. How might we do that? By developing coherent district systems, that alignment of plans and action, building up a stronger instructional core for our students so that they have that meaningful access. They're not just here, but they have meaningful access to opportunities, and then can experience both kinds of wellness, that academic success and the personal wellness that we'd like to have for all of our students to have. Couple if-thens. If our district systems are coherent and aligned, then the hope is that leaders and teachers can focus on instruction. Again, kind of these splintered plans or the plans that exist but don't get implemented, that can be quite distracting from the work that needs to take place. This theory that if instructional materials and practices are high quality, then these student subgroups, as well as all students, will experience greater access to learning. And that if our staff capacity grows through thoughtful PD, then the gaps for those targeted student subgroups will begin to close. So this is my last piece, and I hope you can kind of see the interconnectedness of what I've spoken to tonight. The commitments we need to make going forward. First off, to closely and collaboratively monitor student outcome data. This needs to be a regular part of our discussion at the building level, the district level, in this forum, for us to, again, those evidence-based practices coming into fruition through the plan of developing MTSS, promoting high-quality material and instruction, and developing staff capacity, to implement aligned plans. we've made plans before. This Student Opportunity Act was presented to you back in 2024. But then the implementation fell off. So the commitment to actually implementing the plan, to regularly share updates and seek feedback from stakeholders. Prior to presenting to this to you all tonight, I had shared the revised plan not only with our core leadership team, but with our DVLT team. This is not an Amy Benner plan. This is a district plan, and it incorporates all of those threads from the 3 buildings. And I don't think that sort of feedback from the building leadership was really, it did not seem to be as much of a part of the creation of the plan that was drafted in 2024. And these people are one group of our stakeholders. So then lastly, the real commitment to improving student outcomes. The gaps are very, very real and acute. And so we need to get to work. And I think part of that work is just aligning our action and our mindset for students' benefit. So that's what I have for this evening. Welcome to questions or comments from you all.
Dan, do you want to start? Kelly, you want to start?
No, Dan can go.
I feel like everyone's looking at me.
No.
But, no. So I guess I have a couple of competing thoughts. I think what you've presented here tonight is fabulous in the sense that it really does reflect the need to structure, improve, and facilitate more thorough discussions around how to implement these within the school system. I guess I'll start with a question maybe.
Yes.
In the previous plan, what was the intended role and responsibility of this single social worker that was going to be working 3 buildings to improve those outcomes?
To coordinate access to resources. And you can actually see the full draft of the original plan, but essentially to have one point person for the gamut of services that could be provided to, again, kind of that idea, if students are well, they'll have access to what they need. But I think we need both of those pieces. We need the mental health and the physical wellness, but also the high quality education.
The
Agreed.
statement,
Yeah.
the statement here in the plan,
Thank you.
will hire a district-wide social worker who will be charged with supporting families, educators, and students around issues such as attendance, community partnerships, and other supports available.
Yeah. And-
Providing one point of contact to support families to obtain the tools and support they need.
So, the reason why I ask so openly is because usually when there's one point of contact, there's one point of failure, right? So, and not saying the individual themselves doing the work, but if something shifts or changes, or if the needs are too intense, I think it is a burden. So, with all that being said, I think a lot of the struggles that I hear that our families are facing, and oftentimes result in some negative outcomes related to these particular arenas, have to do with either lack of resources externally, lack of systems that are supposed to be supportive that are not being supportive of these families. So regardless of how well you are all doing within the buildings around these particular metrics and plans, the truth is that our folks are living their lives outside of these 4 walls, and those are the social determinants of health that are impacting their ability to be successful. So with this new plan, who is responsible for navigating those external factors that are going to be the ultimate, in my viewpoint, indicators of how successful these particular students are going to be in being able to access this really important curriculum and educational experience?
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, like you said, one person that is a superhuman feat to task someone with coordinating all of those services and ensuring that the students who are in need receive them. Right? So essentially, the shift here is not to not coordinate and not look at those outside determinants of health and well-being, but to make it systematic. So in concert with our educational services that we provide, you know, bringing in, making sure we have a multi-tiered system of support in terms of social, emotional, and behavioral wellness as well. It's not simply an academic system. It looks at the whole child, which I, again, kind of, my feedback on this plan was that it did not look enough at the whole child.
Yeah.
It perhaps looked too much at what was happening outside. And certainly, those areas of need and those supports are part of what we need to help match our students with. But making sure that we're not only doing that, but we're also matching students with a school building that they feel like they belong in. Curriculum that is relevant and engaging and gets them up talking to their peers and building relationships that, you know, that's a determinant of health, you know, their ability to engage in healthy relationships. And some of that can just happen through the teaching and learning that happens in buildings as well. So again, it's not a matter of sidelining those issues, it's a matter of bringing them like into the fold.
Correct.
And if I may, also,
Yeah.
just to expand a bit, it's shared responsibility. What I'm learning a lot is the one person is supposed to fix it. Like the principal and the assistant principal are supposed to take care of all discipline. No, it's all of us. It's all of us. The classroom teacher and how you're planning for effective instruction. And so by creating this very tight alignment and then sharing it out and constantly revisiting it and connecting all the work we do to it is going to be one help, because then we're all beautifully aware. But secondly, and Amy mentioned one of my favorite words, the personalization of the learning experience. The more we connect with the students in our classrooms, the more we know them. They want to come to school, they want to be with us because they know they're safe and supported. And then we're going to learn and start to make those connections about, I know that, you know, Monica plays the violin and the bow broke and her family is having a tough time. What can I do? Just because we've connected, right? I'm her math teacher, but we've connected and I've learned this. And so then I know who to go to. Maybe I go to the school adjustment counselor in my building and say, can you reach out to this family? This is what I've learned. And so we start to, it's not a straight line, it's a web of supports. And that comes by all of us really coming together and getting to know the students so that we're aware of those external factors and we make that connection. It's not just this, oh, Kelly, your family's having trouble, go over here and go talk to this person. Like it just really becomes this constant ball of movement energy that we're all aware of, acutely aware of what's going on both in and out of the classroom and making those connections.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that awareness. I guess stepping back and throwing back on the committee hat here for a moment, I think oftentimes in structures like this is that then when it comes to the granular day-to-day responsibilities of building that interconnected web, it's not resourced well enough. Right, and I would say the adjustment counselors and the other clinicians and
Solutions to address this concern. I think you're all doing great work, you know, and this just speaks to the transparency that everyone's talking about, so thank you.
Kelly? I'm gonna echo exactly what Brian said, because you have the community who's telling us things are falling apart, and then the people that are in charge telling it, just like you said, rainbows and unicorns. And we believe rainbows and unicorns, and numbers don't lie. So, no, I mean, it's a work in progress. It's not gonna get fixed overnight. It didn't break overnight. You know, we have to navigate and try to fix what's broken and see what we can do to make it better. I mean, I know it's a tough feat. It really is. I look at the data, like you said, with the students with disabilities, and depending on what people consider low income, that may be 90% of our school. You know, and to put all that on one person, no. And I know that there are certain staff members, there's certain teachers, there's certain administrators that, you know, are probably already doing this. And that's just part of their day-to-day life inside the school buildings. And it's kind of just trying to get everybody on board to do the same thing, to have the same paths, to have the same outcomes, to make it a safe place for our kids and in putting that social, emotional, and the academics together, you know. And not that I disagree with Dan, because that's his lifestyle, and social, emotional health is important, but we can't oversee the academic, we can't cloud the academic progress with just dealing with social, emotional well-being. Like you said, it has to be together. You know, we can't watch a kid struggle through school for 4 years academically, but socially, emotionally, they're okay. So it's one of those, and like you said, that making them married, I think will be extremely helpful for a lot of them.
Yeah, thank you for presenting this. You know, I think for a while we were, you know, to Brian's point, we were hearing things and we were asking questions, but we weren't necessarily getting this granular detail. I think, you know, we were getting some pieces, but I feel, you know, your comments on the alignment are really resonating with me. I think sometimes that might be where we might have fallen a little short, you know, and I'm excited to see that you considered that as you were putting this together. I understand this document is very important on a lot of different levels. You know, I do think that when kids are socially, emotionally safe and secure in a place, they're able to let that anxiety go and focus on the present. Whereas if they're not able to focus on the present, therefore they're not able to learn and achieve. And, you know, I think this proposal that you've put together, when I read it the other night in the packet, and I just, you know, the public, if you want to read it, it's posted online with our packet. Feel free to go read it. This does seem to really go that next level, and I'm hopeful that, you know, we'll be able to start closing some of those gaps, because we heard a couple months ago on the MCAS data, and I think, you know, touching on to the school improvement plans that you all in your buildings are working on, it only makes sense to me. I know I'm a victim of my common sense jar sometimes, but this to me just seems common sense. So I'm very excited that, you know, I'm going to support this. We do have a motion, a proposed motion to endorse the updated Student Opportunity Act. We do need to vote on this. But I do feel, you know, you've done a lot of work, and we had a lot of transition. We've had a little bit of a rocky time, and implementation of that 2024 plan for whatever reason, whether it was the transitions, whether it was actually finding a person to do that, whether it was, there's probably a litany of reasons. But I do personally look at the leadership piece as a big component, because without steady leadership, and I'm feeling that we're starting to, and I hope everybody's feeling the leveling out of, we've got some solid leaders now, and I feel confident that these are the steps that we need to start taking. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion. Again, if you want to read what's on the little agenda report that Ms. Vinitsky put together for us, which I'm very thankful for, you can, or you can make your own motion, whatever works. But
Is it this one?
it's this one right here. Right there, at the bottom.
Conclusion, that one?
Yep, just say I move.
I move that the Mashpee School Committee endorse the updated student, oh my,
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
I didn't mean to giggle.
can you delete that? Sorry. Move that the Mashpee School Committee endorse the updated Student Opportunity Act plan as presented. I shouldn't have done that.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
No second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes, so thank you. Please go ahead and
you.
submit that.
Yes, and again, we need to come back.
Yes.
We will.
In a
Yes.
year and
So
talk
I'm
about.
like making a mental list of like, okay, I want updates on that, once we get the district, well, we have the district review, I meant more, the strategic plan, we're getting our school improvement plan, so yes,
Yes.
the list is,
And before we move on, I just wanted to add, to speak to the SOA and the state of the district. So while it's not all rainbows and unicorns, we're certainly not falling apart either. We have incredibly solid foundation. The educators in this district are phenomenal, hardworking, committed to this work. I think the gap has just been an absence of really digging in and looking at data. And if you don't know the numbers, then how do you know how to move forward, right? And so I think that's what you're seeing here is we are just bringing to the surface what has been there and maybe just hasn't been talked about. We're in no means falling apart. Mashpee we're in very good shape. I keep saying good to great. We are small but mighty. And we are just poised for greatness, and that's what's exciting. So despite what those numbers say, yes, they're not good, and we've got work to do, but the fact that we've acknowledged that, we are making a plan to move forward is phenomenal. And you're already seeing those shifts taking place. And when Principal Brady presents next week, you'll learn even more. And so there's a lot to be proud of, a lot to be happy about. And there's still a lot of rainbows and
there are.
unicorns out there.
At the beginning
In a
of the
good way.
meeting.
Yes.
And you're presenting next month, not next week, I think.
Next month, April 15th, sorry. Got a couple
Unless you want to come next week, but I might not.
I think it really comes down to a mindset shift. None of this will be accomplished by the Herculean efforts of one person or one role. It's teaming and systems, and we're smarter and better together. And taking those kind of unicorn and rainbow pockets and systematizing it, and making sure that all students have opportunities to the highlight areas that some of our students are experiencing, and just making it more spread across our student community.
Well, again, thank you for that, and looking forward to what's next. All right, Dr. Connors.
All right, just some upcoming events. These are all on the district calendar. They're in both our What's Happening Wednesday updates. They're in our school newsletters. But the most exciting thing, and I am so excited for this weekend, is Little Shop of Horrors. I keep wanting to call it the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But you know, some kids wouldn't mind it, but I was like, I don't think that'll get approved. Just
right, correct.
Call me crazy, but I don't see that one flying.
This is very excited about that, and just a lot of great things coming up between now and our next meetings. Just wanted to share that. And just some quick, it's not just safety updates, but in general, safety is always at the forefront of all of our minds, all of the time, and all the work that we do. And so I'm just very pleased to announce that the installation of our door barricading devices, our night lock devices, is complete across all of our schools and offices. There's a little picture of it there. When Chair Lewis and I talked about this, we wanted to do a demonstration.
Yeah.
It's just not all that feasible. I forgot to ask Monica to bring, she actually has a.
Well, I think we also were thinking in
Device.
February we would have done that.
Oh, yes, that's
so
right,
then
February.
February didn't happen, so.
Yes, but training is in progress of all staff. It's literally, you take the little red piece and drop it down into the floor, and it just barricades. And what it does is, we know that our classroom doors have locks on them. But if you have, like this door that says Conference 3 behind us, doesn't have a lock. But on the other side of that door is a night lock device. So if there's something happening in here, and the person in that office needs to lock down, they are able to do so and maintain their safety.
So those on all the doors or just the doors that don't have locks?
The doors that don't have locks, so adjoining doors, like adjoining classroom doors, where classrooms are connected. I'm so thankful to our SRO, Katie Hennessy, to Monica De La Hoya. They are the two that really got this over the finish line. It was truly a joint effort. DPW was phenomenal in helping Monica arrange. She's best friends with the installer they were talking weather and travel because he had to drive here, so we had to cancel one because the January blizzard, and then, but DPW arranged it so they could come in after school hours and get everything installed. They did that in the matter of a week. It's truly a team effort. Building commissioner, I mean, we had, police and fire, everybody on board with this. It just is that additional level of safety and security for our staff and our students. Elijah, were you stretching or your shoulder or raising your hand? Sorry.
Scratching my head.
Okay, sorry.
But I'm not distracted.
Yeah, our Alice drills continue. We just had an unannounced Alice drill and, some tweaks. Katie's very good about, updating us and then following back up with leadership. Traffic support along Old Barnstable Road. I'm just thrilled all the snow has melted because it does make traffic a little bit easier. But I reached out to Officer Hennessy, who connected specifically officially with Mashpee Police Department to ensure there is patrols there. I think on the first day, everybody realized that there was patrol there because Officer Hennessy had to pull somebody over for going around
Okay.
everybody. So
I would say I don't think it's consistent.
she said it is
Yeah.
part of their patrol and they know that if things come up that might be pulled off, so.
Correct. I still do think it requires a review.
Yeah.
Especially with, the late bus, not being available for Quash anymore. I know that there's been a little bit more congestion there, but, those patrols have been helpful, but, again, not fixing the ultimate concern.
Definitely not, yeah, definitely not. And, I'd love to say I am very proud of the community effort, our school community, as Principal Spitzer mentioned. We reallocated late buses from Coombs and Quashnet to Mashpee Middle High School, where there's just a greater need for our students to stay after school for extra help, for clubs, for teams. We're able to make that happen. Margaret Messina has done yeoman's work, as has Lisa at the collaborative, in collecting addresses and doing routes and making all of this possible. We're very excited.
I have a question about the late bus.
Hold on,
Oh, sorry.
this is my big mic
Go
drop
ahead,
moment. So we've had a total in 4 days of 11 students who've taken advantage of the late bus.
Nice.
It's very disappointing. I'm very disappointed.
Well,
Two kids on day one, on one
The
bus, one.
spreadsheet has 65 plus.
Yes, we had a lot sign up, so we're hoping it'll gain some momentum, but,
But from
Well, that is-
0 to that, we're looking at gains.
okay.
I
Thank
think
you. I
one of
needed a
the-
positive.
All
I think one of the challenges too is you have to sign up for the late bus ahead of time.
But they have.
They have.
But if you decide that day, oh, I'm gonna go and use the gym, or I'm gonna
No.
go use the weight room, or I have to stay
May
after
I?
school.
Yes, please.
The kids are saying,
No. Initially, that was gonna be the plan. They were gonna have to sign up every day, and I was like, nope.
Just get your name on the list.
Just get your name. All they have to do is sign up if they ever think. And anybody who reads it can't be any clearer.
I have not seen it, I'm just telling you what they're saying.
I read it and saw that and said, oh, good, I don't know if she ever will, but guess who's signing up because I don't know,
But you
so,
need- Right.
done.
Because if
Did
their
that come
name's
through my
on it,
email
and I
then
missed
they're
it?
good. They're
It
good
did.
to go.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and it's, all the communication has said that, when we say it to kids, we're like, if you ever think.
And that's where
One
the,
day.
a part of I think the disconnect is,
Yeah.
honestly. Because, oh, I can't stay after Mr. Smith because I'm not allowed to take the late bus.
Yeah, 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 right.
So we'll keep getting that out.
Yeah.
Progress.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
no,
I need that reminder.
I'm happy.
It's
Kira,
progress.
have you heard any issues with it or from the students?
I haven't
You're-
heard anything really
Yeah.
about like any issues.
Okay.
She's so quiet, I forget you're sitting in there sometimes, I'm sorry.
We haven't really had a chance to bring you in on some of this stuff yet, but yeah, but that was, okay.
And it's for sports, it's for whatever,
It's for anything.
Anything.
right?
After school, extra help
I'm gonna go
in
to
chemistry or
Glasgow.
whatever.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the spreadsheet is closed at this point, but what we did communicate out is you just need to make a call,
Okay.
and they'll put you on the list. Margaret I think, Sherry, you received a call the other day, right? We've taken calls right at central
Okay.
office, they're calling at the high school, so we are happy to add students anytime, just make a call and get on the list. That's
Right.
one time.
Back to the barricading, do want to give a shout out to Katie, our school resource officer. But I do know that there was some pushback from the DPW director. And were there any additional invoices or extra expenses that were incurred with that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nope, we got it.
And actually, Catherine was here all the time. She worked closely with a gentleman that was doing the installation.
Okay.
And she worked hand in hand with him and with us. Like, there was no issues. I didn't hear any issues.
Okay. Well, I heard otherwise, but we can
Oh,
discuss
okay.
offline.
Okay.
Okay.
They're in, they're
They're
paid
in.
for, it was under the budget that we, that
Yeah.
we needed, so.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that when things like this happen, that we are working with the DPW. Obviously, the
Yes.
workers are great, but if there is pushback that comes from the director or anybody else, I know Katie had offered to be there and to be present, so we didn't have to hire additional staff. Might have been some communication maybe between Katie and Catherine, but yeah.
Okay.
No, but everything worked well.
I'll just make sure I didn't hit the
And
budget.
and she was on top of it.
No,
We
no,
are, we are all very aware
Yes.
of those numbers right
Nope.
now.
very aware. All
Very
right,
aware.
at this time.
Is it me?
It is, you,
It's
I'm
your
gonna refer you
Speaking
to
of numbers.
section C in your packet.
Okay, so if you look at the budget to actual, you're gonna see that negative 515 in technology. We already submitted upwards of $450,000 to the town. It just hasn't been posted yet, in terms of, moving it over to school choice, because it was offered that we were gonna use $700,000 of school choice to cover for technology. So where you see encumbrances of 100, instead of paying it from that account, we're paying it directly from school choice until we get to that 701 that was offered. The next line is also negative, is special education expenses, because we're already working hard in special education and offering services. Part of what we have following our first budget transfers to cover these two. The last line is copiers and telephone, and once I have all of the information of how we're gonna end the year, then we'll make a transfer to cover that.
Okay.
Questions on this one? So the next one, we've got revolving accounts. Pretty much the same. The only thing that maybe you can see a kind of a jump in Cape Cod 5. Some of our teachers applied for Cape Cod 5 mini grants,
Okay.
and they received them, so that's that increment on the bottom.
Did we ever vote on what the leftover monies for?
Yes, we did.
Okay, what did
From
we
the
do?
classes.
It's going
and
to the
Think she missed
Falcon.
that
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, you missed that
I missed
meeting.
it.
You weren't
It's going
there.
to the Falcon Fund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was with the student advisory group had provided really detailed input
Yeah,
that
okay.
they felt strongly about that
Okay.
too. So it was
No, that's good.
a really good conversation.
Food services for February hasn't posted yet, but that covers the difference that we have up to last week. Then you've got this,
Sorry, for
Yes.
the food services perspective,
yes,
I know that we were, I think, piloting the after-school activity snacks. There was like something in there, and we were going to be applying for funds for that, kind of like reimbursement to cover those expenses. Is that something that is of concern, or has that been running
No.
smoothly?
I don't have information on that, but I can get you information on that. What I do have information is that we went through a webinar for the breakfast in the classroom,
Yeah.
to apply for that grant.
Okay.
But I'll get you information on the after-school.
Okay. Just so, yeah, for all the programs across all three schools, if, I think that's been a fabulous addition.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it has.
School choice account, that's where we're at. When you see expenditure, that's basically technology that has been charged to that school choice account.
And then with this, is this showing, so this is everything that's been officially like expended. Do we still have the rest of the HVAC funds earmarked on here?
Yes, they've been encumbered.
Okay.
Next, we have the budget transfers. So the first page, what I tried to do is keep it within the school or the department per se. So if you see something decreasing up on top, like the first two lines are middle high school, it's because they're covering middle high school negatives. PD is covering for PD. Insurance, employee insurance is covering for health care, and so on and so forth.
What salaries, PD?
So that was a line that was budgeted for substitutes when they were covering for PD. We used the substitute line.
Okay.
So there's money there that we have transferred over to the actual systems
Systems
PD.
PD down at the bottom.
Ye-
Okay.
Yeah. And athletic is covering for athletic and trying to keep it under the same cost
Good
center.
job.
Then the second page, it's not necessarily within school, but it's within special ed.
Okay.
So those are the transfers that I need now, and hopefully we'll just have one more getting closer to the end of the school year.
Okay, so that being said, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the FY budget transfers as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Kelly. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. Dan?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And I also am a yes.
And then the last part of my part is that during the audit that we had for the administrative food services section of the audit, one of the things they mentioned is that our adult prices for meals were not enough. So we currently charge $5 plus tax. So we're letting you know that we're increasing that to $5.50. It's based on the increments that have happened year to year, and that should cover whatever increment we have for next year.
So this is just to cover costs.
It's to
that-
cover costs.
It's not like really, we're not profiting off of this. It's really just a straight cost covering measure
No.
to bring us aligned with,
Correct.
okay.
And,
just to be
and
clear.
because as it is, we have to pay the difference
Yes,
this year because we weren't covering costs.
all right.
So if we bring it to $5.50, we will cover this year and hopefully last year, based on the increment that we have had for the last 3 years.
So an adult that's getting the meal in the cafeteria, are they getting the same portion that the children are getting?
It's the same meal. It's like 700 calories. It's not bad.
4 chicken nuggets and 6 pieces of french fries?
Okay.
No,
$5.50.
I just.
I was gonna say
it's-
5.80.
No, I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure.
I'm
but
okay
they
with
have-
this.
But at the high school level, they have different options. At the Quashnet and the Coombs, the teachers just get whatever they make for lunch. Or
Well, the teachers
or
can
the
buy whatever
adults
options they want
in
also.
the building.
So the meal is the meal
Yeah,
that the
so-
students get.
Right.
If they
Yeah.
want something à la carte, they are welcome to
But that's
purchase
only
it.
offered at the high school, not at Quashnet and KCC,
I thought
correct?
Casey,
I
I
thought
thought
they have à la
Quashnet
carte.
has
I think
à la carte.
Quashnet has variety,
KCC
yeah.
might not have as much, but I'm pretty sure Quashnet has à la carte.
Okay.
And also, staff has choice in
Yes.
the matter.
So-
Whether they would like to purchase the meal or whether they would like to bring in their own.
Yes.
So I think that having the offering there is beautiful as
Yeah.
a district. And I think the price aligns very well with what we're seeing, I guess, across the market at this point.
Yeah, and as long as we're covering the costs and not operating in a deficit, like I don't wanna be covering costs of something when we're not you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, this is again, a no-brainer that,
And a little soup outside is more than $5.50.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Panera.
Right.
Like, you're paying a lot more than $5.50.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, what are other districts? What's their average?
More or less.
Yeah.
A sandwich for some reason charges less. Maybe they haven't had an audit. Plymouth is at $6. They had a citing because they hadn't increased from an audit that they had. So they had to increase like $2 or $1 plus. We're doing it 50 cents.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I won't say 5.75, but
We bargained.
I mean,
Profit.
Give me 580.
$5.92.
Okay, so that
Thank
is
you.
my
Thank you.
part. You are welcome. Thank you.
all right. Next, we have subcommittee reports, and we will begin with the superintendent evaluation subcommittee that met on February 10th. So Danny, Kelly, Dr. Connors, whoever would like to start, you're more than welcome to have the floor. I know we've got this mid-cycle update here, so I don't know if Dr. Connors wants to go, or?
Yes, I didn't know if
Yeah.
Dan and Kelly wanted to speak about the meeting first, or they just wanted me to present
No,
the
you
same
go
thing,
right ahead.
whatever. Okay,
That
all
was a
right.
very long time ago.
It was a long time ago. All right, so this is section D in your packet. I'm trying, just because we're kind of all over the place. All right, so I'm going to move through this quickly. So if you just have a question, just stop me, because in the interest of everyone's time.
Yep.
So the process that I follow is the DESI recommended process. We are at the mid-cycle, and then, in a week or two, I'll be giving you the end of cycle, but whatever, we're in good shape. So this just shows you our timeline. You approved my annual plan in you can go to the next one, you were right, Sherry. In October, by October 15th, we approved my plan of my goals. Mid-year, subcommittee met. Late spring will be the summative. We'll be doing that in April. So we are moving right along in the timeline. In general, you have 3 to 6 goals, 6 to 8 related focus indicators. That is the DESI guidance, identifying at least one focus indicator for each standard that's aligned to the goal. I had identified 2, and then towards the end, as you'll see, we bring it all together to show you how the standards focus indicators all align with the goals. If there's a concern during the cycle that's related, then school committee is well within your purview to say, hey, let's think about this for next cycle. We don't typically change it mid-cycle. These are the focus indicators under each standard. For standard 1, data-informed decision-making and student learning. Under standard 2, management and operations is law, ethics, and policies, as well as fiscal systems. Under standard 3, family and community engagement, communications and family concerns. And standard 4, our professional culture is commitment to high standards and a shared vision. I have this here mostly for me. I know you all know what you're supposed to be doing, but to remind me where my role is. The committee is the governing body, and you focus on the what and the why, and then I focus on the how in this work. You are the evaluator at the committee as a whole. So as you know, it demands consensus. You focus on the outcomes of my work rather than those details of implementation. That's the messy part of the work. And it is public, which is why we talk about it publicly here, and then the final one is public. So District Goal 1 is really just the effective entry. By late spring, I will have engaged key stakeholders to identify the most critical needs, launch the process for setting strategies and goals to address them, and define how we will measure that progress. So the key actions, I've tried to just note them here on where we stand. August, October, complete. My draft of the entry findings is complete. The final production, making it all look good, is in progress. On April 6th at our half day, I will be rolling it out to the entire staff at Mashpee Public Schools. And then the following school committee meeting, we'll be sharing all that with you all and with the public. I am also excited at this April 6th meeting, we'll also be sharing the results of the district review. I met with Chris Ball at Mashpee TV today, and they are going to film it as well, so that it can be out there, my presentation to the staff. So again, I'm all about transparency, so I want the public to be able to see what I'm presenting to the staff in Mashpee Public Schools, and then we'll present it here as well. Benchmarks, as I just mentioned, that leads into entry findings, also then our strategy development. As you know, we are in the midst of strategic planning. Our next meeting is April 9th. We have been meeting monthly. The results of when I put my draft of entry together, I wanted to vet my findings. I think it's important because I recognize while I'm using all of these data sources, they're still my findings, and so it's my interpretation and analysis of the data. So I did share my draft report with 33 members of Mashpee Public Schools that I identified as leaders. And by that I mean instructional team leads, so like the kindergarten grade level team lead. So I shared it with them, I shared it with coaches, with principals, assistant principals, the Mashpee Middle High School department heads. Their feedback was very structured in terms of the questions that I asked, and I made sure it was very anonymous because I wanted them to feel free to say, Michelle, you're way off base here, or no, this aligns with my experience. And I was very pleased to see that over 50% of the people, because it was dense, and it was right before February vacation. 18 people provided feedback, and I was able to incorporate that, it helped me look at some things a little differently and take that into consideration before I put the final thing together. So I'm pleased with that input. Maintaining momentum during transition is just to really keep us moving forward, updating principals and district leaders and the community school committee on a regular basis, ensuring that I'm in schools regularly. 80% of district and school improvement benchmarks are on schedule. You saw 2 examples of that tonight. You'll see a third one in March. And part of my visits with the schools and the principals' evaluations is looking at their school improvement plans, and all that is taken into consideration. So the key actions, where I am in terms of meeting those dates. So what's interesting, I put in progress for number 2. There's really no formal evaluation that goes in Vector for principals and for district leadership, but know that I am meeting with them regularly. There is a formal evaluation process that does take place. I engage in monthly coaching meetings with district level staff as well. And school visit number 2, Mashpee Middle High School is the last school for March, and I'm visiting there tomorrow. So far, all 3 schools have had 2 very formal visits that are tied to the evaluation process. Goals are in Vector. We're on a 6 to 8 week cycle of those focus school visits. I am very pleased for the first time in my work as an educational leader using DESE's educator evaluation process. I evaluated principals in my former district but didn't use this tool, and it's really led to some deep conversations. And what I think, and you'll see a snippet later in this presentation, I've been really able to dig into actionable feedback, to take what I'm learning in these visits with them and say, here's what you're doing well, here's what I'd like to see next, and here's how I'm going to support you in that work. It's really provided a very cohesive framework. NISSUP, this one's just really easy. I need to go and do what they tell me to do. I need to show up and engage. And I do. I'm a very good student. I go to class. I do my homework. Some people, shocking to all of you, make fun of me because I come with my binder. I don't bring my laptop because I like to print things out and write. And I'm like, you're so organized. I'm like, oh, it's just my type A. And so my coach has been amazing. She's just a thought partner and a sounding board, which is wonderful. And when the time comes, Sherry is putting all of my evidence together, helping me put it all together and keep it straight and aligned. Thank goodness. But you'll see she'll write a letter just verifying that I'm indeed doing all the things I'm supposed to do. All right, next, student learning goal. You heard a lot tonight about early literacy. I'm going to show you a little more of a snippet. So UFly is going beautifully. The implementation, just to see it in my walkthrough. Sherry, you can go ahead to the next one. Those are the key actions. But you heard about professional learning. We've talked about progress monitoring when Principal Redmond shared. I've been monitoring that instructional implementation and student outcomes both through my own walks. It was amazing on one of my walks where we focused specifically on UFly implementation. And I was in a kindergarten, a first grade, and a second grade classroom. And to see all 3 teachers using UFly and the same strategies, grade level appropriate, was so powerful. Because when I think of the kindergartner who has teacher A this year, goes into teacher B in first grade next year, the common language, the common routines is just going to really accelerate their learning even more. And that's what we want to see. So there truly is implementation with fidelity, which I'm very proud of the work they're all doing. So tonight I'll just quickly give you some fall baseline data, some mid-year progress data, and then end of year I'll come back with where are we in terms of movement from the baseline, and I'll also share with you, I just shared with you kind of anecdotally that implementation with fidelity that I've been seeing. So Principal Redmond walked you through some of this in a little different vision, but what you can see is our baseline data, 84 kindergarten students, 6 of whom are students with disabilities and 11 of whom are English learners. This is where they performed on phonics and word recognition, phonological awareness, and print concepts. And there's a lot of red there that you see. Next slide. So the goal was that by mid-year we'd see a decrease in the percentage of students in that red, which is well below benchmark.
This is
Um,
awesome.
That
And
is
you can
awesome.
see that, right?
That
There's a
is
significant, I
awesome.
love looking at colors. One thing,
The last one scared me, and then you moved to this one, I feel better.
right, because it's where to
Because it
start.
completely flipped. I mean,
Right.
look at
Right.
look at them.
Right.
They're completely opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah, and it's important, I put the numbers there because it's important. In my work in previous years, we got caught up in colors as well. And finally, I had to say, colors are good, it's good to see the shift, but we gotta make sure we're measuring apples and apples. And so, one of my learnings in this work was reaching out to Dr. Tonis and saying, why only 75 kindergartners in the winter when we had 86 or 84 in the fall? And Principal Redmond even explained that tonight, because they
moved,
graduate from
yeah.
early literacy
To
to start
yes.
reading. So that's, I'm like, are kids absent? Are they not making it up? Like, I went right to the negative.
Yeah, I mean,
what are we missing?
And each
But-
one, I mean, 11 to 8, 6
Yeah.
to
To
4, 84
Yeah.
to 75. Like, this is
Yes.
This is good.
wow.
It's amazing, and that is the work of the teachers in the classroom with those students. It's truly inspiring.
And like
to
you
say
said, the
least.
consistency throughout
Yes.
the grade levels.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
This is the
Some more red.
measurable, this is the mid-year, this is winter, so this is all students in kindergarten. Demonstrating measurable student progress from fall to winter is what I'm going to update you on now. So this was all students, our students with disabilities and our
That's what I was
English
saying, 'cause
learners.
I
So
was
the
just looking at-
top,
But this is the.
the
fall.
top
This
row
is the winter.
is the fall, the bottom row is the winter. So again, looking at the colors and how they're moving.
And again, the same thing with this is the numbers are less because the kids have graduated to that.
Out of
other
early
platform.
literacy and
Okay.
into reading, yes.
Look at that though.
Part of this student learning goal was an increase from baseline, not just early literacy, but looking across grades, looking at reading in general. So I took grades 2 through 10 as a large group. I didn't dig down for the purposes of this presentation. But so if you, all of 895 students in grades 2 through 10 took star reading. In the fall, roughly 50% of students were meeting or exceeding grade level literacy expectations. In the winter, we've moved that up to 54. Now, that only seems like 4%, but 4% of 895 is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Students with disabilities, 137 students, 12.8 to 19.7.
That's amazing. That's
That's a
amazing.
lot. Our English learners, 59 students, 20 to 23.7.
That's still a lot.
And are duly identified. So we have students who are both students with disabilities and learning English.
Okay.
Right, that's what a
Yeah.
dually identified.
Oh, look at that jump.
And look at that work, right? So,
Wow.
it's just really, I truly attribute it to the work of the teachers and all of us as leaders to saying, we gotta look at this data and what is this data telling us and how do we do things differently? And you get those aha moments, so it's truly inspiring. So like I said, we're not falling apart. There's a lot of great things happening. I mentioned, and I won't
Failing the children.
go over this again. Principal Redmond already talked about the professional development that's happening with UFly, and we are in full support of that.
And that's a fun word for the kids to say,
UFly, right?
not for nothing.
Yes, exactly. It's catchy. It stays with them. This was what I mentioned to you, evidence of implementation from classroom walkthrough coaching cycles. So this is a sample of feedback that I gave to Principal Redmond after my walkthrough that's just specific to what am I seeing about implementation. It's not about teachers. There's no judgment here. It's just what does implementation look like? And that just also gives you an idea of the type of feedback that I'm engaging with the principals. 4 standards, 21 indicators. These are the 8 indicators. And so what I've done in the next few slides is help you see what does the rubric language on the left say in terms of standard 1 instructional leadership and the indicators that we have identified and the evidence that aligns with that rubric language. So district goals and early literacy student learning goals, using entry data baseline assessments. And so that just really lays it out for you. And then kind of to sum it up, district decision-making, back one more, so that's okay. I know, we're trying. District decision-making is grounded in multiple measures of evidence. Clear systems in place to demonstrate impact on student learning. And I think that's what you heard Dr. Benner really driving home too in the SOA is having those coherent systems in place, that you gotta bring it all together so we're moving in the same direction. For standard 2, management and operation indicators 2D and E, there's the rubric language on the left and evidence at the mid-cycle on what we've done. We're aligning our operations, our decision-making to policy, to contracts, to legal requirements. We have developed and presented a budget that is really focused on instructional priorities and what we're seeing as the direction we're moving strategically, and just really communicating with school committee and our municipal leaders on a regular basis about the fiscal conditions. Standard 3, indicators 3C and D, again, the rubric language and the evidence of practice, really communicating and responding. I do always appreciate, because we all like good feedback. A parent emailed me late this afternoon, and I got back within an hour and just said, here's some time I'm available tomorrow, let's connect. And he replied, I haven't even met you yet, but already just you getting back to me so quickly shows me that you take things, like, it's just that's important to me. Communication is incredibly important, that people know I'm there and I'm listening. They may not always like the answer, but we engage in conversations. And standard 4, 4A and 4E, again, the language and then the evidence of practice. And you'll be able to see more deeply in the final when you are able to really dig into the evidence about leadership expectations and how we're working through goal setting and evaluation and feedback. The entry plan and entry findings process, when you see that, you'll be able to get more in-depth view of the work that is happening that we don't get to talk about a lot. And then our strategic planning process has been great work coming together. And it is all aligned. So you take the standards, connect them to the goal. For example, standard 1 with instructional leadership beautifully connects to student learning goal on early literacy. Management and operations goals 1 and 2. The idea here is that nothing lives in isolation. You have that connectedness between standards and goals. That's how the work should happen. Further examples? Any questions on my mid-cycle, right? Speed dating, yes.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
I know we are in subcommittee reports, but I also know that Nurse Stacy has been patiently sitting back there, and you're just here to listen. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because if you wanted us to move up the job.
It was just I just saw them today, so I'm just.
Okay, just making sure. Well, I was trying to, okay, then, any other questions?
I
guess
tried
back
to tell her to go home.
It's okay, I just wanted to.
She's dedicated.
I wanted to offer
No,
in
yes,
case,
thank you.
okay.
I
All
guess,
right,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I guess for you, because you will work with the superintendent on that and giving the information to
Yes.
the board.
yes,
Can we work on that beforehand, so we're not in a situation like we were in last year, where we had an outgoing member still trying to figure out
Yeah,
the
so-
evaluation before we bring in a new member?
Yeah.
We will have a new
Yes.
member, but
We will.
I'm just, yeah.
no, and in my one-on-ones, my weekly one-on-ones with Dr. Connors, as the chair has,
Yeah.
those weekly meetings with the superintendent, we have discussed the timeline, which is why we got this, and she jokingly said, we'll get the final in our next, so
Yep.
our April meeting, we'll be getting the final, and it'll be
Okay.
our May meeting, our first meeting in May before the election will be when we
Finalize.
when we present publicly, so like in April, we'll get that final thing, we'll get the rubric the next day that we all get, where we all have to fill out the forms, they all get compiled. The chair then takes everybody's answers, puts them into the system that they need to be put into. The chair then meets with Dr. Connors to present it. So please make sure you're putting comments in. I guess I'm gonna ask that we're very, open, honest, clear, put the comments in, because comments are helpful, feedback is helpful. Because sometimes some people, I know, one year I did it and there was like one comment or like per thing, and it was kind of just like, okay. So when you get them, just, be open, honest, take the evidence and look at it. But yeah, that's all coming at our next meeting, and then it'll all be compiled. We'll meet prior to that May meeting, which is what, May? May.
We're gonna talk about the
whatever.
calendar shortly, yeah.
Yeah,
Those-
and then,
those-
and then it'll be done at at that public meeting. We'll present the 6th. Thank you, Sherry. So at the 6th, we'll be presenting to Dr. Connors. The election happens on the 11th. And then our new member on that Monday gets sworn in, and we have our reorg meeting on the, thank you, Sherry.
Right on top of that.
She is.
Yes.
So that's kind of the process for the public if anyone's interested, but yeah, that's how we handle it, but thank you for that reminder because, yeah, we were a little scrambling last year with
It was
everything.
difficult.
So,
And the format will remain the same that you are
Yeah.
used to. We're
Yeah,
not
we-
changing anything.
we did discuss
Okay.
the format as well, so we're leaving it the same for this year, but, you know, there is the potential that going forward, if there are tweaks or changes, we discuss them prior to. But we're gonna be using that same format that we've been using for the last, I don't even, last 6 years at least. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Update on negotiations subcommittee, we have had 4 meetings, 5, 4? Pretty sure it's 4. Things are going along, we're kind of in that phase of just kind of discussing proposals, but, they're moving, and they are moving well, and that's with Unit A. We've not yet really done anything with Unit B yet, but that's not uncommon, so it is both units are up this year, but we have begun with Unit A. And I don't know, Brian, if you want to add anything. I mean, we had our latest meeting was this past Monday. But yeah, they're moving, and they seem to be going well, so we'll just keep moving.
Yeah.
We don't have anything really real to report, but when we do, we'll call an executive session to kind of, you know, talk about those things, but at this point in time, we are not there yet, but yeah, that's the update on that. So, it's legal update we did, student opportunity we did, turning over, approval of job descriptions. So,
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may, before we jump into that.
yes,
I'm going to request that we pull the Director of Nursing. I noticed an error, an omission on that job ad that needs to be corrected before it is approved.
yes, if you
Yes,
didn't
Stacy
know,
helped
she
me.
will be retiring. I got that
Oh,
news
yes, sorry.
recently too.
Oh, that's a great way to announce it. So sorry, Stace.
I'm like, wait a minute, why are
Yes.
you changing this? She's
Yes.
sitting right there.
Yes.
So, right now, it's a nurse coordinator position, it's not
A director.
position, this is a different role.
Oh, okay.
But they
You're
will be
still the
filling
director.
rather large shoes that are being left by wonderful nurse Stacy, who will forever be my COVID queen.
I was
'Cause
just
she got
gonna
us
say
through
that.
that. Like,
She would.
it's bittersweet, but we'll save that for the day that
To
it's.
your house.
I believe it. Listen, the things Stacy does for me, we don't talk about.
We're having
Yes.
a fight club thing.
Yeah, so if we
Yes,
may
we
bring
can.
this
We
up-
may.
that
Yes, so
one.
we'll
Okay.
pull that one.
Okay. And then these are these all current positions? We are just rewording them or renaming them?
So the Director of English Language Development does not currently exist. What we are doing is reallocating resources because we know loud and clear there is a hiring freeze and we are not adding any new positions. And so in working on the budget and the resources that we have and the needs of our students, we are able to move salaries around to create this position. So what we'll do is we'll using a teaching salary, and reallocating that salary into this role. So this role does not yet exist.
Yeah.
And it will be a K through 12 role.
Okay.
So we're looking for a motion to do all of them, or? you wanna
I
walk
mean,
through them?
I'm unless anybody has any questions, I'm fine to do all of them at once, less the
Stacy.
That's the
nursing director, float nurse, but it
That's
would
the
be
only one.
the director of English language development, the MMHS curriculum chair, department head for grades 7 through 12, the school nurse, which is different.
That has an error in it too.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been.
That's
reading
okay.
all this tonight. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Stacy, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
So we'll table
So-
those two,
Yes.
Okay.
We can connect.
We'll connect, yeah,
Or can
my
we
bad, I'm
approve it with
sorry.
edits? so we don't have to come back?
We could approve it with the contingent upon edits. I mean, if the rest of the committee
You're
is
okay
comfortable
with
with that,
that?
I'm okay with that. I trust that it's not gonna
I don't have any
be
problem with
throwing
that.
any
I don't have any
weird
problem with
job.
that
No,
you
there's
know,
no,
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't imagine it's gonna be drastically changed from what's before us right now.
no, because
Is
they've
it?
both
I
been
mean,
through, they've both been in front of the union, because it wouldn't come to you if the
Yep.
union hadn't reviewed them. To be open, the Director of Nursing, float nurses, the basic RN requirement is missing, that's
Oh.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we kinda need that.
Yeah.
Kind of a
Yeah,
big deal.
that's important.
That gave me gray hair.
Yeah.
And the school nurse, Stacy, what?
The school nursing has a phrase in there, and I missed it, I'm sorry, about that we treat staff with chronic and acute illnesses, we only do emergency.
Oh.
That's a town district liability thing, I'm totally with that wording.
Okay.
Okay.
Then yeah, I mean, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, we can do that.
well for it.
All right, Madam Chair, I make
Yes.
a motion that we approve the following job descriptions: the Director of English Language Learners, the Director of District Nursing with edits, the Mashpee Middle High School Curriculum Chair, Department Head, grades 7 through 12, and then the school nurse with edits.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Kelly?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. All right, thank you very much. Update May School Committee, Student Advisory Committee schedule. So, again, Hernando, right, it was Hernando, Blizzard Hernando wreaked a little havoc with our schedule here, which is why we've had a little bit of a marathon tonight. No, the blizzard was named Hernando.
You're like Hernando. I'm like, what did Hernando do?
He dumped like almost 2.5 feet of snow on us and took
still salty about
took a week of our school. Like, yeah,
No, that was his name.
yeah. Well, now you all know. Me and Hernando, we had words. It's late. I'm a little punchy. It's that time of year. Yeah. So because of that, in talking with Dr. Connors and Ms. Lynch and the Student Advisory Committee, I think has also been made aware of this. We wanted to combine the April 1st and April 15th. So initially, April 1st was going to be the Student Advisory Committee meeting with all of us, and May 20th, similar situation. But to kind of save time and energy, I feel like that one meeting we had, which was our regular business meeting, but had the student advisory reps here, was beneficial. And I think in my mind, that's how it really, I appreciated that setup as opposed to the one-offs.
Yeah.
So the proposal and discussion was to combine the April 1st and 15th to just the 15th, and the May 20th and 27th to just the May 20th. That way we're not.
Same time, 5:30.
Same time, it would be our same business meeting, it's just the student advisory committee would come to that as opposed to a separate student advisory committee meeting.
Yeah.
I appreciate we all, the 5 of us, have a lot going on, and I thought also reducing one meeting for the month.
Yeah.
You know, I know, Dan, the May one won't impact you, but you'll vote if you'd like to. But for the rest of us, I feel like, you know, we're all doing our best to be here, and if this could kind of help make sure we are here when our students are here with us, it would be good. So I don't know if we need to vote on that. I mean, we can vote on it to officially change that, but we could also agree by consensus. It's kind of,
What do you want to do? You wanna vote? We can vote.
I'm fine with consensus. I think it's already on the books.
yeah, it pretty much, the meetings were already there. It would just be kind of getting rid of the additional ones, so. All right, so we've agreed by consensus. Sounds good to me.
I just added it.
Okay, and now, home stretch, guys. We're almost there.
That's there.
So, next, we had a request from Miss Robson to look at some of the, Kelly, I'll turn it over to you because this was your request to consider some remanding policies to subcommittee. The difference between, like, Principal Switzer, just so people understand, if it's something that comes from like the administration, DESE, you know, something at that level that's a, hey, we need to update this because a law changed or something, that's an automatic triggering of the policy subcommittee. When a committee member kind of wants to visit a policy, we kind of, our process is to bring it to the full committee to vote to convene the policy subcommittee. Yes, we are already convening it, but I guess it's just, do we want to
What else did we want to
open
add to that? Wasn't there something?
report cards?
Report cards.
Not, and that's not, I mean, it's a policy, but I guess, you know, just, these are additional ones that Ms. Robson requested, so I wanted to bring it to the full committee to see if the rest of the committee would like to revisit any of these. I know some of them, like the electronic devices, was recently updated. I want to say, what, 2 years ago we put in that? So that's a 2-year-old policy. The state legislature hasn't yet, it's still sitting in committee, it has not yet officially been passed, so, just putting that, I did check on that, so it's still kind of just hanging out, waiting for the committee, but Kelly, I'll let you take the floor since these are
So-
requests.
No worries. Number one, the electronic devices. I had talked to Miss Brady last year, and she had said, please give me grace, and let me see what we can do with the kids in school with their electronic devices. I have not gotten any positive feedback of the kids not using their stuff. I see TikTok videos of them in the bathroom, during the middle of class. I see fights in the hallway, but that a part of it isn't as much a problem to me as the evidence that is coming out psychologically from therapists and counselors about the detriment of a cell phone in school that it has on the children's learning capabilities.
Can you go a little bit further
So
into
I
that,
would
Kelly?
try to look, I would just want to look at our policy of how we can, and I think force is the wrong word to use, but come out with a universal way of how we stop the kids from using their electronic devices during class time.
Okay. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so again, I just want to make sure we're keeping the scope of the school committee, which is we set this policy, which our policy says, the expectation is that these personal devices remain off and away during the school day. That is the last line of the first paragraph. The enforcement of said policy is not in the purview of the school committee. We say this is what we want to happen. We then hand it off to Dr. Connors, and that is hers. So I don't know that reviewing the policy, I guess that's my question. What in the
But if
policy are you
Does
looking
that
to?
policy have that they can have it on during breakfast, during homeroom, during lunch, and all that stuff?
It does, homeroom, breakfast, and lunch. They're not allowed to use their phones during class time, passing time, or when out of the classroom during class time, i.e. bathroom breaks. So students remain solely responsible for any loss or damage to any electronic device used or brought onto school property. They're subject to the district's acceptable use policy and any applicable laws and regulations, including but not limited to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 272, Section 99, which would be the wiretapping law. If this new legislation passes, obviously this would need to be updated to align it to that Section 2. So I guess you're looking to remove the section that says during homeroom, breakfast, and lunch?
They shouldn't have their phones at all. It's a disruption. It's a disruption to the class because, and I understand that our thing is to give the policy and give it to Michelle and for Michelle to go implement it.
Yes.
But we're writing a policy that isn't being followed. So what good is the policy that we wrote if in fact the policy is not being adhered to? That's been my question for 6 months. We write these policies. This is our job. We're in charge of policy. So if those policies aren't being implemented, what good is the policy that we wrote?
I guess I would push back and say, what changes would you make that would be, like, how would you implement any changes? I guess you could say that for any of the policies, like,
Well-
it really falls, we could probably go back and forth on it, but I guess my thought on this is that we could write anything. We could be like, no phones ever allowed on school grounds, and we could put that in writing. It still is out of our purview to then go to the schools and be like, excuse me, student, you have a phone, you're breaking the, like, that is not, like, we can check in with the administration and say, hey, you know, could you give us an update on how this is being implemented? Is it being implemented equitably? Because I know with our last student advisory rep, we heard there was a disparity in implementation, or in enforcement.
Right.
And I know that was when Principal Brady asked for that grace, in some regard to it, because she was still kind of new. I don't know, I mean, we could get more input on that. I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying one way or the other. I just was trying to wrap my brain around, like, if we change, I mean, to your point, we could write anything. And we do have a policy that personally I feel I get what you're saying about the mental health aspect of, you know, homeroom breakfast and lunch, but I also understand that during those times when they're at lunch, that's a time for students to have that mental, like, whew, and if that means going on and checking Instagram, and if the students are even using it now as a means to communicate on some level,
But why? Why can't you talk to me? Why can't
you're
we
gonna
have
go
the
around to an
discussion?
entire school and talk to all students for mass communication?
No, you have an email on your laptop that you can talk to people about.
I would.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I wanna hear
like
from the
a bit of,
student
like,
rep.
The student perspective.
Yes, please.
So I can say just like looking at the policy, I don't necessarily think that, I mean, I do see phones out during class time, like that's the truth, that's transparent. So I don't think that adjusting this policy in any way, if it's not already being met, I feel like this goes into like an enforcement standpoint. We probably just need some more discipline on that, or even just like a refresher on what the policy is, and then maybe reconvene after that. But yeah, homeroom time, that's at the very start of the day. So that's only 10 minutes, they're not really in the classroom, so the really only interference is you go to school, you have your phone, and then you're going in the hallway to your next class. And then breakfast is also sort of falls into that same category. So I feel like that doesn't really interfere with any of the education. And then lunch, again, it's just a break in the middle of the day. So I feel like those times are very critical for students to be able to have their phones. I mean, for one, I use my phone for like Quizlets, for like studying during lunch sometimes. So I feel like there are definitely ways that you can use your phone in a positive way, but we probably just need more enforcement.
I mean, I guess I understand the concern, and having a child who was a victim of cyberbullying, like called SRO Hennessy, like went through the whole process, know it's a thing and have experienced it and lived it. I understand the concern. Do I get annoyed by the anonymous TikTok accounts? Yes, I do. Do I report them when I find them? Yes, I do. And I will say that all day long. You know, those accounts, I don't know that you're ever going to get around them, because, I feel like maybe I'm wrong in reading into things, but I know that's kind of where people are coming from with these cell phone policies in some aspect, is that it does open up a whole new level of that potential. But that's not to say that there are students using it as a study tool. I don't know, Dan, Brian, anything you want to add?
I just agree with the redirecting. I mean, if we don't know about it, I think the right thing is to go to the superintendent and to bring it to their attention or the principal's attention so that they can enforce the policy. And that's kind of what we should do as a committee, because we get approached by a lot of our constituents sometimes, but it's kind of our job, where our job begins and ends is with the superintendent, and bringing it to their leadership's attention so that they can properly address it.
And I would agree with that, and Madam Chair, to your point, I think recognizing, again, our scope of practice as committee, just again reaffirming what you've already said, and recognizing that we will all have personal beliefs on all of these, and at the end of the day, you know, my viewpoint is for these three particular policies, they are meeting, you know, what we're hoping in writing that they would be meeting, and as everyone else has said, I'm mansplaining here for a moment, but now it's just, what do we do with it once it's at a building level? So I personally don't see a need to review these three currently, unless there's significant changes needed.
Again, I think if that law that does deal with cell phones gets passed, then we have a different conversation.
Agreed.
Because then we are not aligned with Massachusetts general law, and we do need to be aligned with Massachusetts general law. Right now, I feel we are. I don't know. I mean, I guess
Like I said, I think it's more of listening to the professionals, that the therapists, the juvenile therapists and juvenile psychiatrists and psychologists that are out there, and they are coming to us with the concerns of the access so remotely at their hands, and then affecting their day-to-day ability to learn. They're more interested about what's going on their phone than the teacher that's standing in front of them trying to teach them a lesson.
And coming from a clinical lens, and sorry, I'm wearing my alternative hat here, you're asking to solve an issue that's not gonna be resolved by this policy.
Or any policy
any
that I
policy.
can think of. I mean, we,
That
again,
is a system, societal, that's a change in our culture, that is well beyond the
Well,
scope
we could
of
say
what
the
we
same
can
thing
do.
about bullying. We can have a
We-
policy
we've had
about
this
bullying in school,
conversation.
but it's not gonna stop the bullying from outside of
And
school.
we've had that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, we've had that conversation. So
So-
I guess, however y'all want to proceed, but
my thought would be, you know, at this point, it sounds like it is an operational issue rather than a policy issue, at least how I'm interpreting it. At this time, again, I'm comfortable with this policy. You know, do I feel that there are a few students who might abuse it? Yes. Do I think that maybe operationally there needs to be a discussion, and that falls to Dr. Connors to have that with her her building principals, and then, you know, whether there's a PD day devoted to it, something. I think, I agree, there is a disparity in enforcement from what I've heard. I mean, Kira spoke to it as well. Like, you do see kids, and I think it's one thing if the teacher's like, hey, we're gonna use Quizlet, pull out your phones. Like, that's one thing, but again, technically they're breaking the policy because we say don't use your phones in class. That's a whole other conversation, but I think there does need to be consistency in enforcement. You can't have one teacher who's nailing the same kid every day, but then there's another kid literally sitting 2 seats behind that kid, never getting nailed for it, which we all know has happened in some cases. So to me, it becomes more operational rather than policy. Again, if there is a way to change this that's equitable and is easier to enforce, and Dr. Connors, if you're looking at it and you see something that makes enforcement or operational procedures better, maybe that's something we bring forward and that would trigger it going to policy. At this time, I don't know. If someone wants to make a motion, we can vote it. But I know I personally am not in favor of convening the policy subcommittee for this particular one. Kelly, I don't know if you want to talk about dress code, because that's the other two, which is the student handbook's dress code and policy JICA. And we can just vote, unless we want to take them one at a time. I guess I'll ask what the committee wants to do, but. Okay. Do we want to talk about the dress code policy and what your concerns with that one were, and maybe that one?
I just think it's too vague, but that's just me, again.
Too vague in what regard? Like across the board?
Across the board, it's too vague, but that's just, again, that's my opinion. I'm gonna take my opinion and I'm gonna put it over here. So, we don't need to go through any of this. It's perfectly fine. We'll leave it the way it is and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I don't think that's what we're saying. I think that the rest of the committee, I know you and I talked offline about it. I don't know that the rest of the committee knows why you're asking for these two. I know why, because you and I spoke, but I don't know if Dan and Brian are aware.
I think I feel that our dress code is too gray because we leave it up to the students to dress the way they want to dress. And that's fine. But then, you know, unfortunately, there are some people that take that to an extreme. And a school is a place of learning, it's not the beach.
Kira, do you have thoughts on this one as well?
Actually, I haven't read through it yet, so I'm just gonna quickly look through.
I've looked at other school districts around us and what their dress code is. Last year I had brought it to the superintendent, the interim superintendent's attention. And he brought it, I believe, to the lawyer, and her answer was, the students have rights, we can't tell them what to wear.
But what particular wording, Kelly, is of concern that you think is too broad? Clothing?
There's no
Clothing must be-
definition.
Clothing must be suitable for all scheduled classroom activities and adhere to applicable health
But
and
what you
safety.
think is suitable and what I think is suitable is two totally different things.
So you want to,
Again, portrait of a graduate, we're trying to have these kids, you know, be successful and teach them how to be an adult out there in this world. And there's just some things that I think, and maybe it's just a learning thing, I don't know. But you can't say anything to the kids because no matter what,
That's not
and it
what that-
doesn't matter
That's not
if-
what that says though, Kelly. I think that this, at the end of the day, any good policy also has room for dialogue and for discussion and for.
It says the
and for
responsibility of the dress and the
enforcers
appearance
to
of the
be-
students.
And for the enforcers of this policy to be able to have those conversations both with the student as well as the family system. I think, again, for me, it comes back to that enforcement component or that discussion component of if a teacher, staff member, whomever is seeing that a student is not dressed appropriately, that needs to trigger some form of response. That's a building systems issue rather than a policy issue. And I do agree with you, what you may see as appropriate may not be someone else's baseline. And so I'll just leave it at that.
I guess I have a question. If the dress code and the phone policies, do those apply to Mashpee Public Schools as a whole or just the high school?
As a whole.
As a whole.
So like these policies, like whatever it says, it applies to all of the schools. There's not like separate ones.
No, so the JICA, that's district-wide, and the handbook has actually, this policy is in all 3 school handbooks. So the dress code is one of the few. There are some that are tailored based on the school. The dress code is not one of them. This one applies across the board.
Because then I guess one of the things that you can think about is students as they enter the high school and they start applying to college, like we're becoming young adults too. And so I feel like part of that comes with the responsibility of, you know, like as you graduate high school, it's now on you. So I feel like enforcement-wise, some of the things that I underlined is like with the hoods, students are not permitted to wear hoods. That's definitely something that I see as being enforced. People wear hoods to school, and I almost, like 9 times out of 10, I'll see a teacher say, hey, please take your hood off. So I feel like there's definitely enforcement with that policy. And then also the cleats inside of a school building, I feel like Mr. Taveri is like very good on that to make sure that all of our facilities are kept clean. And so I feel like there is definitely like enforcement that's being done with the dress code, at least in the high school. If that helps with anything.
And I guess I'm going to the line, the administration is authorized to take action and determine consequences in instances where individual dress code does not meet the stated requirements. This does not mean that the student, faculty, or parent guardian groups may not recommend appropriate dress for school or special occasions. It means that students will not be prevented from attending school or a school function or otherwise discriminated against so long as their dress and appearance meet the requirements set forth here. And the bullet points, yes, they are wide. Students must wear clothing that includes a top and a bottom or the equivalent, e.g. a dress and shoes. Hoods, but we made the headgear, I remember the last time we updated this was the headgear exceptions for religious and medical reasons, but you know, that was,
Yeah.
we definitely did that one. And then spirit days or otherwise permission of, I mean, I do feel this one does get better enforced, but again, if this is an enforcement versus what's written,
I just don't think it's clear.
I guess what are you looking to clarify? Like what would you like to clarify?
I don't wanna
Like-
see the boys' underwear hanging out of their pants when they're walking down the hallway in the front of me. I don't think that that's appropriately dressed for school.
So the policy would say all students who identify as male must wear a belt?
Pulled
Like how-
up, well,
how-
they
But
pulled
like how
up.
granular do you want to be?
I actually, and I will find it and I will send it to you. I had written out a dress code and I had given it to David when he was here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't specified at the way girls dress and it wasn't specified at the way the boys dress. Neither of it. And it says, you know, pants must fit securely around waist, whether it be a boy or a girl. It didn't specify gender in anything.
No, but I'm saying, again, the granularity that you're looking for is very specific to either what you're seeing or folks are uncomfortable with, which I can appreciate, but at the end of the day, my sense of this policy is it's covering that.
Across the board.
Because then I guess one of the things that you can think about is students as they enter the high school, and they start applying to college, like, we're becoming young adults too. And so I feel like part of that comes with the responsibility of, you know, like, as you graduate high school, it's now on you. So I feel like enforcement-wise, some of the things that I underlined is, like, with the hoods, students are not permitted to wear hoods. That's definitely something that I see as being enforced. People wear hoods to school, and I almost, like, 9 times out of 10, I'll see a teacher say, hey, please take your hood off. So I feel like there's definitely enforcement with that policy. And then also the cleats inside of a school building. I feel like Mr. Taveri is, like, very good on that, to make sure that all of our facilities are kept clean. And so I feel like there is definitely, like, enforcement that's being done with the dress code, at least in the high school. If that helps with anything.
And I guess I'm going to the line, the administration is authorized to take action and determine consequences in instances where individual dress code does not meet the stated requirements. This does not mean that the student, faculty, or parent guardian groups may not recommend appropriate dress for school or special occasions. It means that students will not be prevented from attending school or a school function or otherwise discriminated against so long as their dress and appearance meet the requirements set forth here. And the bullet points, yes, they are wide. Students must wear clothing that includes a top and a bottom or the equivalent, e.g. a dress and shoes. Hoods, but we made the headgear. I remember the last time we updated this was the headgear exceptions for religious and medical reasons, but you know, that was,
Yeah.
we definitely did that one. And then spirit days or otherwise permission of, I mean, I do feel this one does get better enforced, but again, if this is an enforcement versus what's written,
I just don't think it's clear.
I guess, what are you looking to clarify? Like, what would you like to clarify?
I don't wanna
Like,
see the boys' underwear hanging out of their pants when they're walking down the hallway in the front of me. I don't think that that's appropriately dressed for school.
So the policy would say all students who identify as male must wear a belt?
Pulled
Like how-
up, well,
how-
they
But
pulled
like,
up.
how granular do you want to be?
I actually, and I will find it and I will send it to you. I had written out a dress code and I had given it to David when he was here. And
Yeah.
it wasn't specified at the way girls dress and it wasn't specified at the way the boys dress. Neither of it. And it says, you know, pants must fit securely around waist, whether it be a boy or a girl. It didn't specify gender in anything.
No, but I'm saying, again, the granularity that you're looking for is very specific to either what you're seeing or folks are uncomfortable with, which I can appreciate, but at the end of the day, my sense of this policy is it's covering that. It's just a matter of whether or not we're addressing it.
Where does it say that?
Well, one could argue that
Appropriate for school.
the health and safety requirements, clothing must include a top and a bottom or equivalent, and shoes, like, I mean, it's not,
That's what I'm saying, there's too much gray area. Well, you said a top and a bottom. I got a bikini top and a bikini bottom. It's a top and a bottom, I'm wearing shoes.
But that's not
I
appropriate,
feel like the
Kelly.
conversation though
According
is
to
like
who?
with the parents, because the parents, I mean, my kid's dressed to go to school, and I wish somebody would tell my kid what they could wear. We're talking about mental health and everything else like that, and it's like, this is how they express themselves. I mean, my fiance, she used to wear mini skirts and stuff in school now she doesn't, but it's like, that's how she expressed herself. Her parents let her. I mean, even with COVID, you see kids coming in with pajama pants, so we're gonna say you can't wear your pajama pants anymore. What if the kids can't afford a belt and they're
That's exactly
sagging
where I
just
was gonna
because?
go.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just not in the business of violating people's rights, and I just feel like people should be able to express themselves however they want. If we're gonna update the policy, then we might as well just bring uniforms in here. That's just how I feel.
Agreed.
yep,
Okay.
yeah, because that's, I think, the only way we could really update the dress code would be go to uniforms.
And then
Which-
even then, they'll bedazzle them and everything else, so you.
I went to a Catholic school, we wore uniforms, trust me, we got raised around that dress.
I mean, we don't have to go that, we could always just go the khaki pants and the khaki
Mashpee
bottoms.
polos.
And the Mashpee polo, exactly, you know, like Lawrence School's Dress for Success. But even that has its ramifications, so,
I think a public hearing, I mean, rather than the subcommittee, like we did it when we had the bullying incident. Like if this is such a hot topic, I think having a community forum to have the parents and the adults and these physicians or whatever it is that you're saying, Kelly, come in and kind of present the case, I would feel more comfortable with something like that, to know that this is a hot topic for the community. They do want us to address it. I do respect you as a parent and as a committee member, but I don't see enough public comment and enough public engagement on this matter for me to make a decision.
I think too, it'd be interesting to see how many, like if they, so correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Connors, but like every time a student is dress coded, that must get logged somewhere, right?
So, I'm glad you brought that up. I believe that might be part of the issues that we're having in terms of enforcement. My understanding is that we don't use PowerSchool to its full capability, and we're asking teachers to stop classroom instruction to fill out a triplicate form when a student is violating a cell phone policy. And so we've got to make things easier on teachers to report those things. Therefore, then, because what's going to happen, they're going to stop enforcing it because it's a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then it perpetuates, right? And then they're going to say, well, administration's not doing anything about it, right? Well, we can only do what's being reported. So the more we simplify the system to make it efficient, to ensure that things are getting reported, the better able administration is to deal with it. So that's what I've been learning now. As I mentioned, I'm at MMHS tomorrow. We are specifically working on Standard 2, which is culture and climate, so this aligns beautifully. And so I'll make sure to have these conversations also with Principal Brady. I did invite both assistant principals to join us if they wanted to, even though it's a principal's evaluation, just to have these conversations. So I think that's part of it, is the manner in which we're asking teachers to document these instances is incredibly cumbersome for them. We hire them to teach our children.
They're like 6-part forms, right? Like the
Yeah,
yellow, the pink, the
yeah,
green.
uh-huh. And so,
And
I
mean,
think that's part of the problem.
and Kelly,
fair.
like Brian, I appreciate you bringing these conversations
Yeah.
because they are
It's
important,
important.
and it is important to make sure that they are being, we do take the time and the effort
Yeah.
and we spend time like the wordsmithing that goes into these policies is not just all of us sitting in a room going, I think I'll write this. Like you know how that goes. And I think your concerns about making sure that, where was it? I just saw it a second ago. That the dress code doesn't reinforce stereotypes and creates an environment where professionalism and personal expression go hand in hand. And that, that's not the part I was looking for. Maybe it's in this one. We do want our students, going back to that emotional safety and that, we do want our kids to be comfortable in their classrooms. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that in a way that, as Brian said, isn't gonna infringe on their rights. And if we can get there, great. But right now it sounds more like it's an enforcement. We need I need the data on the enforcement first, I feel like, before we go that next step. Because if there is room to tweak it, great. Let's do it. But I feel like this one especially is a very fine line in my mind. But I think the conversation's important to have. I think, how you present yourself does kind of impact your mental well-being, and it is a state of mind in some regard. And I appreciate you bringing them forward. I just don't know that we need the policy subcommittee at this point. It's not to say in the future if we get the data and it's like, yeah, we're getting dress codes, like, there's so many a week. Carrie, I'm sure you've seen people, I know I've heard of people getting dress coded.
I think it's definitely a thing that happens.
Yeah. So.
Could be something that we could put on the agenda when we have the Student Advisory Council here to kind of get everyone else's input,
Yeah.
or when we
That's
do
the other thing
our community
I would like to
surveys.
know, and I don't know if you guys care, the enforcement of the policies. Is it the principal's responsibility? Is it the vice principal? Is it the teacher? Is it all of them?
It is everybody.
Everyone.
It's another
Yep.
system.
It's an entire system.
Yep.
It is all of our responsibilities to uphold and enforce those policies. What I'm learning is happening is that teachers are saying nothing's getting done because they're expecting 3 people in a school of 600
To take
students
care of
to take
everything.
care of everything.
Okay.
It is collective, shared responsibility. We've got to get there though, right?
And I'm
We've gotta-
wondering if that's
a
just
culture.
I was gonna say, I wonder if that's
Yes.
the culture that they're used to.
It is, 100%.
Where it's the fact of, you just work here, I'm the boss.
I also think too, going back to what we were talking about, leadership transition, it was a
Yeah.
little unstable for a little while and people were kind of, doing what they could to keep the boat floating.
Absolutely.
And now there's some more stable, steady people at the helm kind of holding them up to say, hey, this says this, you're not doing, and I don't think that was necessarily happening at the level it might have needed to happen. That's not to say it wasn't happening, but I feel like that's part of, another piece to this puzzle and conversation is that, you know, you had people doing the best they could with what they had, and some people had the bandwidth to apply it, and other people might not have.
In my former work, I would have conversations about, you know, kids are cutting my class all the time, what are you gonna do about it? I said, so let's talk about planning for effective instruction that engages kids and makes them wanna be in your class. I didn't quite say it with that tone, I'm being a little fresh, I'm a little tired right now.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where's everyone's responsibility in this? Like, what is the why behind class avoidance? There's, of course, multiple reasons, but where do we start? It's not just starting with punish the kid. It's find out why they're not going and fix that.
Right.
And so kind of looking at, well, why is a student using their phone in your class all the time? Could be many reasons. What might be some of them though? What are in your control as the educator and the adult in the room, right? So trying to approach it that way. So there is work to be done. It's not that teachers aren't doing their job. It's not that they don't want to do their job. I think it's been just all these transitions for them and a lack of consistency to say, okay, this is what we're all going to do and we're all going to move in this direction together. But I am absolutely willing. We have policies and policies are meant to be enforced. So let's talk about how we're enforcing them and I'll have that conversation. Absolutely. But it is everyone's. That's a culture shift though, to Amy's point earlier. It's a shift in mindset on the practice.
Like I said, I listen to these doctors and they talk about how detrimental the cell phones are to the kids in school and their learning capability. None of them have ever said positive stuff about kids with cell phones at school. It's all about the negative stuff. So, you know, it's just trying to give them the best opportunity to learn, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think too, it's cell phones are detrimental. I mean, how many of us have gone down the TikTok rabbit hole?
Well, somebody said
The
something.
doom scrolling at night
Yeah,
instead
YouTube,
of going to
yeah.
sleep, you know, so there's a lot of work to do and we can certainly do our
It's an
best to enforce
it's
it
an
better
addiction.
at the school level.
Somebody
It
said that
is.
to me yesterday. A cell phone
It
is an
is.
addiction. And I looked at and I'm like, what? You know what? You're right. Because we can't.
So are we going, so no action?
No action.
Okay. Thank you for that discussion. I appreciate
That was
it and
great.
respect all of you for your honest input on those, so thank you. Okay, two more things, and they're pretty quick.
They're
So, school choice. We have before us the proposal for school choice. No vote is needed unless we want to leave school choice. I personally do not feel that we need to leave school choice at this time, but I do want to note, and I don't know if Dr. Connors, you want to speak to grade 11. In the past, we didn't usually allow school choice in 11 and 12, but you're proposing 21 seats for grade 11. Do you want to, because that one jumped off the page at me.
Yes, it's funny because Bonnie said, I probably won't be there by the time I get the school choice
know, I'm
memo."
sorry.
I said, I'll be here. I said, it's okay, I can speak to it, but we have these
Yeah.
conversations. So, what really, Principal Brady is doing is trying to get all of our classes up to a minimum of 100. So when you look at our current enrollment, grade 10, currently moving into grade 11 next year would only be at 79. That 21 seats
Would bring them up.
would bring them up to 100. It's really more math than anything else.
Yeah.
And we, of course, one of the good leveling factors is we're all required, as you all know, because you had to approve it, the competency determination, graduation requirements, we're all pretty aligned. And so it would really be just checking to make sure when the student comes in at grade 11, are they going to be able to graduate on time?
Yeah, okay.
That would be my only concern because
Yep.
our standards are different.
Well, now with the graduation requirements across the state, and our competency determination, like we're all there's greater
So ours
alignment
is-
across districts.
Okay.
Yeah. We
Any
have to
other-
tighten it up in the fall.
Any other questions? Anybody want to leave, I guess is the other question, but I'm good with this, so.
That's good.
Okay. And, okay, school committee, FY '27 school committee meeting schedule. Very quickly, we have dates before us, but with two of our members having standing meetings that are very important meetings. I guess I wanted to discuss potentially moving from a Wednesday to either a Thursday or a Monday. Just because I know we're gonna have a new member coming on. I know Wednesday has always been our day, for as long as I can remember. But I guess I've been looking at kind of like how it's been a struggle, and not that they don't wanna be here, but I know I kind of spoke briefly to Brian about it, and I know sometimes your job requires you on Wednesday nights, which is totally understandable, we all work. But I also know that you are invested in this committee as well, so I guess in looking at that for FY '27, I guess I just wanted to ask, like, do we want to stick with Wednesday? Do we want to potentially look at a Thursday or a Monday? I guess just throwing that out there for discussion. It's our first read, so we don't really have to vote on anything tonight, but I guess I just wanted to float that. So if anybody has thoughts, I know Kelly, you had mentioned Mondays can be tricky for part of the year, or is that all year long? Part of the year. Part of it, yeah. Okay. And I know Camille's not here, and she would also be a voice in this, so I will reach out to her, or whoever speaks to her first, you know, so I'll reach out to her, but also you feel free. And if you notice too, we combine the student advisory with, instead of it having the separate. Although did we? Because we've got 2 in September. No.
But we can.
But yeah. So if we could combine, that would be my other thing, would be to ask to combine those.
Combine the two, yeah, that would make sense.
Not that we don't want to see each other, but I guess just looking at, you know, the extras that come into all of our lives, it's a commitment being on this committee, and I just want to be cognizant of, you know, how we all have lives outside of this library, as wonderful as it is. So, again, first read, no action needed, but if anybody has any thoughts, comments, you know, I would say Dr. Connors or Sherry, just send them your thoughts so that we can kind of talk about them. But again, just putting that out there.
Is there anything in the charter, Madam Chair, or any notification that we'd have to go through for the select board, or any process, official process to change this, or?
I don't recall anything in the charter. I mean, I can double check, but during charter review, there wasn't really anything about like when we needed to meet. I don't know if, my other thought, and hear me out on this one, we've been talking about live broadcasting school committee meetings. If we did a Monday opposite select board, we would be able to live broadcast at town hall as opposed to here. Even though I do like being in the schools, because we are able to see the artwork and all of that stuff, but that opportunity to live broadcast the meetings does then become possible, which is another.
Is that the only place it can be done, is town hall?
Pretty much.
Yeah, unless we went to Mashpee TV studios, but.
Well, come sit with you guys.
But town hall does have the capability, and they live broadcast like select board, so there's that aspect to it also to consider that could be beneficial, because then families may be able to watch us live as opposed to waiting for it to, not that it's a long wait, Mashpee TV is very good at the turnaround of getting these videos up and online. But for those people who are home on a Wednesday night and don't want to wait around and would like to be with us till 9 at night for riveting TV, which I think is riveting, but that's just me. Again, just points to think about if you want to, think about and look at these dates and maybe consider the Monday version of this calendar, or I'm more apt for Monday. I think you said Mondays were slightly better for you.
Yeah, I'm fine with Monday or Thursday. I think for Sherry, if we can look at the existing schedules, because I used to be on Concom, so they meet on Thursdays. So if we can look at Monday and Thursday to see what's already booked at the town hall, that will help. Please, thanks.
Do you want a draft schedule for the next meeting?
It'd probably be helpful if it's not too much work.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And we do typically go the third week, but if it means shifting to the second, or, I guess it's just, where the committee, we kind of can work with what works for our schedule, I think, as long as there's an open place for us. We always are gonna have this space, I would imagine. I don't see us not having this space. I was just as I was like brainstorming and thinking, how do I make it easier for Brian and Camille? Because I know they're both invested. It's just, I also understand their job and their commitment to tribal council or to, you know, the various things that they need to do for their jobs is equally important, and I just want to be aware of that, and yeah, so, just something to think about. So, all right, that being said, final
I'll make a
motion of the night.
to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, and Dan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. Thank you, everyone. It is 9:04.
Thank you, everyone.